Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we're going to be talking about Squid Game, the challenge. Sarah, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, you gotta add the challenge on there because I feel like
I wouldn't be watching it if it was just a Squid Game.
Yeah, if it was just Squid Game, not our normal vibes.
Yeah, just so people know what this is, in case they don't. This is not Squid Game, the original TV show, but Squid Game, the Challenge, which is a reality TV game show based on the original TV show. I have not watched the original Squid Game, but Sarah has. And
Yes.
I believe this will probably, I mean, we're not going to specifically be talking about the original show, but I'm going to be asking Sarah questions about the original show. So this will probably be spoilers for the original
yeah.
show.
Definitely. And like even to watch Squid Game the Challenge is to spoil Squid Game the original show in some aspect anyway.
Some aspect,
they're using
okay.
the same games. So
At least in these first two
Yeah.
episodes. I don't know about after this though.
all the clips they showed so far were from like games that were from the original show, except one. It looks like they're playing Battleship in one section, and that was
Instead
not
of tug
in.
of war, right?
Oh, I guess we didn't see tug of war. Okay.
Because they're
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is
Okay.
it's still, I've seen like the next time on for episode 3, which I haven't watched yet, but it's
Mhm.
they're calling it warships instead of tug of war, and the episode's called War.
I see. Okay.
Is tug of war the third game?
Yes.
Okay, all right, there we go. So it's not exactly the same, but these first two episodes are going to be largely the same, I think. But Sarah's going to let me know what's what because
Yeah.
I don't actually know. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this. By the way.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say going in, I was apprehensive about the very concept of the show, but watching it, I did have a good time with it. So.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be talking about the first two episodes. As of right now, I believe when we're recording this, I believe there are 5 episodes out of the show. There's 10 episodes total. I believe soon, in a couple days, the week after the original release date, 4 more episodes are coming out.
Oh, okay.
And then a week after that, the last episode comes out. I believe it's a
Interesting.
3-week release to get to 10 episodes.
10 episodes is more than I would have thought. Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
So both of us only watched the first 2 episodes, though, so we're going to be making predictions. We have not seen episodes 3 through 5, which is... But I wanted to record the podcast like that, but I've been itching to continue to watch the show, so... yeah, I'm in on this show. But I have some good and bad things to say, so...
Yeah. Well, before we dig into it, do you want to have some listeners' comments?
Yeah, so... Again, we're a little bit behind schedule on editing, so we have, at this point in time, we have released the Devil's Plan episode, but we have not released the Love Catcher Bali episode, so we don't have comments from Love Catcher Bali, but we do have comments from the Devil's Plan, and I'm just going to share the one comment from Interregnum, Interregnum breaks down the Devil's Plan as, it's ultimately an absolutely fascinating study in collectivism versus individualism, which I feel like is not the intent of the show, but there's somebody was casted on the show and made it into that.
Orbit broke the show. Yes.
Yeah, Orbit. I don't know if he broke the show, but he definitely
turned it into something else.
I don't think that's what production wanted him to do with the show.
Yeah. 100% agree.
And after we get through Interregnum's comments, I have some things to say about the show. I'm trying not going to be too spoilers on it, but now I believe both of us have now watched all of the Devil's Plan.
Yes.
I'm just going to give some maybe changes of opinion since we only watched the first 2 episodes previously. Interregnum also let us know that the Devil's Plan has been renewed for season 2, which is
nice.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And Interregnum says, I would have 100% spent my time on the show heart-eyedly doing literally anything C1 told me to do. I like that. I like the honesty.
Yeah.
So Siwon, for me, became my favorite character on the show. She got eliminated early in the first game when we talked about the show, so we didn't get to see a lot of her.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think she ends up being my favorite character. Also, arguably the best player.
Oh yeah,
there's definitely a debate.
Definitely.
There's definitely a debate for that. but I think she's arguably the best player, and then maybe just got a little unlucky with certain things along the way.
Yeah, 100% agree. She's great.
So I'm a big C1 fan. Who I was a fan of, I believe, when we recorded the podcast was Dongju,
the cool math lawyer.
I still think she had a lot of potential.
She just got swept up in the orbit nonsense a little too much.
Yeah, ultimately, and I mean this in the worst way possible. She becomes Orbit's sidekick in the show, and very
it kind of limits what she could have done.
Yeah, and she gets sucked into the whole like thing that a lot of there's always a few people, like every season of Survivor gets swept up into this like I'm in the superior moral position.
Yes.
Even though you're doing the same thing everybody else is on the show, like at least at some point she kind of sees it, but ultimately like I think she takes a backseat to Orbit in the show.
Yeah, I did get to see there's a YouTube video on Sokjin's channel where a couple of them watched the first couple episodes together, and she's one of them, and she's just like, what was I thinking? Like, I really got swept up in this nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I like that she could see it now that it's over.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Orbit, because I think we're going to get into a little bit of discussion on this Squid Game, the challenge episode, about like what a villain is in reality TV and what makes a good villain versus a bad villain. To me, Orbit was the villain of the season. Now, I don't know in like Korea if Orbit is a villain or not, but to me, Orbit is a villain because he essentially like goes against kind of the spirit of the show. Spirit of the show, exactly. Yeah. And ultimately, I really like. Another reason I really like Siwon is that Siwon is the one person that calls him out on his bullshit on the show. So like on Survivor, Orbit's whole thing on the show is like, I want to help the weak people survive. I don't want people to get eliminated. And he like literally uses that terminology, right? Mm-hmm. And on Survivor, this idea of like being weak comes up like early on in the game because like the challenges are physical. So if you're not as physical a person, you're like weaker. But like when they say that on Survivor, it's like, okay, you're like physically you're weaker. And it's like not really, it's like kind of insulting, but it's understandable when you're like, if you're like the 110-pound person and there's a bunch of like 200-pound like muscle people on the tribe or whatever. Yeah. It's more understandable. But on a show that's about using your wits, like Orbit is literally calling people like, you're the dumb people on this season and I'm trying to help you. Like it's kind of fucked up. Yeah. And ultimately like Siwon calls them out and is like you're not helping them because like you're doing something amazing. Like if you help them survive, it helps you in the end win the show. Like and I don't even know if Orbit realizes this, or I don't know how much Orbit is aware of himself. Or not. Yeah,
I would say he's probably an unintentional villain is what happens.
Maybe. But I also think it's a huge cover-up. Like he's a fraud. Like I'm going to say this. Like I think he's a fraud. Like he's actually not that good at the games. And he uses this cover-up of like, oh, I'm trying to help people. So if I do bad in the game, it's not because like I'm bad at it. It's because I tried to help other people and it like slowed me down, you know? Like I really think he's a fraud. And, but this is again, I think Orbit, for me, like watching the show, Orbit is a good reality TV villain. I liked that he was there and I was rooting against him and I wanted him to lose so bad. Yeah, even when like ultimately somebody does something that's good for their game, I wish they had just like blown up Orbit's game instead because I wanted Orbit to lose so bad. And I think Orbit, like later in the show, when he kind of realizes that, oh, saving people on the show like isn't how the show ends, like you can't really do it because that's not what the show is. You kind of I feel like you kind of see him not look the best at the games anymore, and he kind of just gets outplayed in the end, in my opinion. So I think obviously he's a very smart person. He knows a lot about science and deserves to be on the show from that standpoint, from a casting standpoint, but I think he was outmatched and he was hiding that behind this strategy of trying to protect the weak people, which is again very insulting.
Yeah, interesting take. All right.
Who did you like, or without spoiling it, who did you?
I mean, I did love Siwon. She was great. I still, even though Dongju got caught up in the whole orbit nonsense, still solid player. I enjoy her, and
Hmm.
Seokjin was great to watch too. I think,
Yeah,
especially he teams up with C1 for a while, and their whole thing is just great. I like that.
yeah. I'd love to see Dongju play again. I'd love to see C1 play again.
Hmm.
Those are probably the two people I bring back. I would actually be interested in uh Guillaume and Dongjae. I think those four,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and Seokjin. Those are probably my top four players, and then I think Donju is the fifth best. That could have been good if she didn't get a.
Yeah, yeah.
Donju has a great moment on the show in one of the prize matches, so she still crushes it from that standpoint.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Super fun show. I love the Devil's Plan.
Yeah, I'm excited that there's going to be season 2.
Yeah, people have to let us know if they want us to cover anything on season 2 once that comes out. But we covered basically what the show is, so hopefully people will check it out, can check it out and get into it. All right. Anything else before we get into the Squid Game, the challenge?
No, I'm ready to dig into this weird concept of a show.
Okay. Squid Game, the challenge came out this year, less than a week ago when we're recording this. Based on the fictional drama TV series on Netflix called Squid Game that came out in 2021. Again, this is going to be potentially full spoilers for Squid Game, depending on what questions I ask Sarah.
Yes. And how off tangent I go. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a reality competition game show, not a fictional drama.
Yeah.
Okay. 456 contestants, Sarah. That is a lot of contestants.
It sure is.
I am so kind of fascinated to think about like what the casting process was for the show, knowing you had to cast like 456 people.
Mm.
And then the prize money is $4.56 million. And this is like an American produced TV show, right?
Yes. Squid Game, the original show, was a Korean show, although produced by Netflix. But and then this has people like contestants from all around the world, but is in English and primarily an American driven situation.
Not sure where it's filmed. I assume America, but I'm not sure actually. I feel like the budget for this show must be insane. I don't even know. Like maybe not.
Well,
is this still a profitable show? I guess it must be.
It must be. I think like at least set wise, a lot of the sets if they still had bits around, those are reusable
like the
from
Squid
the show.
Game set.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
But that's assuming that it's not been deconstructed after. I don't know what people do with sets after you finish a show. Do you pull it apart, put it in storage?
Yeah, you'll have to let me know like how much of this just like seems exactly like the show versus a new thing. Okay. Yeah, but that's it. Do you want to give a breakdown of what Squid Game, the original show, is?
Okay. Yes, and then I will follow up with why I was hesitant about this show in general. Okay, so Squid Game is largely a commentary on class and like rich people extorting poor people for entertainment and profit, right? It's pretty dark. They have this organization has gone out and gotten 456 people who are absolutely like destitute, like have big debts and are like in serious trouble, would desperately do anything, and get them to come and play this game. Not knowing what the game is or that it is a deadly game. And it's basically 6 days. Each day they play what is more or less a children's game. But if you lose the game, you get straight up murdered. And for every person that dies, that adds like $10,000 to the prize pool, basically. So that way it all adds up. Yeah, and it's a dark show. So there you go.
Yeah. So this show is just that, but without the murder.
Yeah, so it feels kind of weird to me to take this show that's real serious and like saying some shit about, exploitation of poor people and then go, what would be fun? If we just make a reality show out of it and let's, what is reality TV if not some rich people kind of exploiting some not so rich people for entertainment and profit? Like, it is weird to make a reality competition show out of this concept, even if people aren't dying at the end. So I felt a little weird going into it.
Yeah, but it's all good if you, reality TV is largely psychological torture, if anything. But
it
a
is
good,
still
a well-produced
taking
show.
advantage of like people. Like there is like one of the first people that they have in this show a
Oh
little
yeah,
like
yeah,
their intake interview
yeah.
is this woman who is like, what is it like to be able to pay off your house, be able to pay off your car, to live securely? And she's like, I came here and I'm not getting paid for my week off of work, but I got to do it for this chance at all this money. And she's the very first person eliminated. Like that woman came out negatively in terms of financial, like it's not great.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be all right. I think they asked people with stories like that to share their stories because they wanted like the vibe of this to be like the original Squid Game, like as much as they could,
Yeah, which again is quite weird.
It is weird. It is a weird thing, but like, yeah, I didn't take it too seriously. I mean, it's like true of anybody who goes on a reality TV show. Like, you have to take time away from whatever your life is. So whatever that is to you, it's like you're making a risk.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Like you're losing out a paycheck or whatever. But
I will say, once I turned my brain off a bit, the show was enjoyable. But if I think too much about it, I'm like, we're doing exactly what the original show is saying you should not do.
I was actually thinking like maybe I enjoy this show more because I have not seen the original Squid Game. Like to me, it's just like a cool reality TV show.
It's also very weird because like I'm not going to say everybody who's on this show has seen the original. I would hope they would going into the situation, but a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, pumped. We're gonna do this red light, green light. Like they're treating it like this real exciting event, and it's like that show was dark, guys. I don't know if we watched the same thing.
Yeah, no, they trust the.
Oh well, yeah, obviously yeah. They know they're not going to get murdered, but yeah. So there is a weird dichotomy between these two shows.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Let's just jump into some stuff. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first episode, I believe this is also the first game in the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Red Light, Green Light. Is that the first game in the original show, Sarah?
That is the first
okay
official game in the original show, yes.
The show also starts with like, it shows like people on the side of the road, and then they like get picked up and put in these like black vans. like they're being kidnapped or something.
I mean, that's more or less from the original show. In the original show, they get in the van and get gassed, so they get knocked out, and then they wake up in the, like dorm rooms. So, missing a few steps there, but that's okay.
Yeah, okay. To me, like, I was laughing at a lot of this stuff because it was just like so, like I know what Squid Game is, so like it was so over the top, like the amount of effort they put into like trying to make it seem serious like Squid Game, but knowing that it's definitely not Squid Game. Yeah. Like I actually thought a lot of this early stuff was very funny, and I was definitely like laughing out loud in like the beginning of the show. So we must have been having a slightly different experience.
I mean, it is also funny just how different it is from it is a silly endeavor in a lot of ways.
Let's talk about casting and contestants and stuff. So there's 456 contestants on the show.
Yes,
that's a lot of people.
Yeah, do you waste time filming like that intake interview with everybody before that first game that eliminates basically half of the people? I don't know. That seems like a lot of work.
Probably not for the first game. Although, but then they do like, I don't know. There might be some people that they know that they're going to have a good. I don't know what they do. I don't know what shortcuts they take and what they don't take on the show. But so there's 456 people. Clearly, the show cannot highlight 456 contestants, even over 10 episodes.
You would not want it.
Yeah, even. Over half the people are going to die in the first game, which is the first 30 minutes of the show. So. When I say die, I should be saying eliminated. They don't even use the word killed. They use eliminated, thankfully.
Well, that is also in line.
Is that what the show does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they're like, it's fine. You're just getting eliminated. Never mind the fact that we shot everyone. Don't think about it.
So I have a list of contestants of note that come up in these first two episodes.
Yeah, same.
Before we talk about all the contestants and the rest of these first two episodes in general, can we just talk about the elephant in the room, as if, at least to me.
Okay.
And that is 432.
Oh yeah. I won't punch him in the face all the fucking time.
Let's talk about 432. I will use the name of the contestants of note, but I am not going to use 432's name. I'm just going to refer to him as 432.
Okay.
Because 432 should no longer be on the show.
All right.
And I don't want to mince words, but you can tell me if this is too much. 432 is just like actually a bad person, right? Like,
oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay. Like I'll say, like, I don't know. We get a little bit of 432's past, not a great past, but I don't know everything about 432. I don't know what his future is like. But the person I'm watching on this TV show is a bad person. Like, I'm just gonna be simple, plain as that. And they're not. It's beyond like being a villain on a TV show. It's like this person's just mean, dangerous. I would say dangerous, and he should not be on the show anymore. And I think we should just talk about why.
Okay, should not be on this show anymore. In what sense? Because
he should be disqualified.
Disqualified in what way?
He should have broken it. There should be a show on the rule that says you cannot physically threaten people, and he did that, and he's still on the show.
Okay, fair. In a proper society, I agree. In the thematic world of Squid Game, though, he is on message.
This is a reality. I know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So let's break down what happened. So basically, I think this is after they get through the second game, so we're going to jump ahead and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
There's a player that, what's so weird, it's like a small clip from like what feels like it had to be an extended conversation, but maybe it was not. Like, so a player is going to imply that 432 is like an NFL player, but maybe uses a negative term along with the NFL player, like it's like bleeped. So I don't know what he actually said. But then 432 takes offense to be implying that he might be in the NFL, which is weird. Like, for people that don't know, like, being an American football player, like, is not an insult in any way, shape, or form, right?
I mean, I guess you could spin it from
and he literally played college football.
I mean, there is a way you could spin it to make it insulting, like, oh, you're just a dumb jock, I guess. But I don't.
I guess that's
what was happening. Is that entirely what's happening?
So 432 is like, oh, it's like I didn't play in the NFL, like as if to say like he's insulted, and he calls whatever he's talking to like a skinny bitch or something. I don't know. Yeah. And then the guy calls him a frat boy.
Which, I mean, he's got some frat boy behaviors. I get where that came from.
Am I missing? Like, is this like is frat boy like a derogatory term that I don't know about?
I mean, the way I think about it, it kind of is, but I don't know that that's true for
everyone.
He's
not using it as a compliment, but again, like, it's
it's
a
pretty
low
mild
tier
in
insult.
The way if you could insult someone. Yeah, absolutely.
And then, 432 is like, call me frat boy one more time and see what happens. And then he calls him frat boy again. And then he says, he gets up in his face and is like, I'm not going to touch you now, but when we get off this show, I might.
Yeah.
And then 432 is not off the show.
Yeah.
He remains on the show.
That is true.
I just want to say, this is a warning maybe to people that want to go on this show in the future. Like, they cast 456 people on the show. Compared to a show like Survivor or a better produced TV show, they don't care about you as an individual as much on those shows. But I would think, like, this is really bad on production from my point of view. Like, you have a responsibility to, even though this is based on a murder-based TV show.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to protect the people you cast on your TV
make
show.
sure everybody feels safe.
And this is not a joke. Like, well, even if 432 knows he never would hurt anybody off the show, like he's saying it to him in a way that looks believable, right?
Yeah. And then the show is also highlighting it as a thing that happened, but not in a like, and then we disciplined this man or then we kicked him off.
They should have highlighted it, and then he was
limited.
Like,
I think like part of the problem is also like at this point they still have so many people, and I don't remember what kind of cameras were. This might just be like placed cameras in the hallway.
Yeah,
like there might not have been an actual producer there or a camera person there at the time, and real time they might not have caught this just because there's so much stuff going on, and so then they didn't get a chance to kick him off. The other guy didn't complain, so maybe production didn't know about it until later.
That is definitely possible because it's hard to keep track of 456 people.
Yeah.
At the time, I think it was down under 200, but still
Still
I think it was like during while a game was going on. So I understand it's hard to keep track of these things. And then after the fact, like, I guess I'm surprised it made the edit. Although, but again, like 432 is such a big part of these first two episodes that like you can't not be in the episode. But yeah, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. Like 432 should be off the show. The person that calls him frat boy is Hussein 198. And then Hussein is going to do something that I think is a direct response to being physically threatened by 432. Okay, so again, this is totally like it's beyond the game. It's really, really bad on production for letting this happen, I think. Now again, like what I still think it would be fun to be on the show. I would go on this TV show, but you should just know like you're one out of 456 instead of like 1 out of 18, like on Survivor or something. Like you're not going to be taken care of or looked out for as well. So understand that.
But be careful. Yeah.
Also, TV like Squid Game, the challenge, just be better going forward. Like this is And again, like you cast 456 people. I don't even blame them for letting 432 on the show. Like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people to cast. You're not going to be perfect. But then when shit happens, you get rid of them immediately.
Exactly.
And 432 is not the only person that we saw that I think should have been in consideration for disqualification once we get to something later. But okay. We have to talk about 432 going forward because he's a big part of these episodes. But I am only going to be referring to him as 432.
Okay. I might slip up because I did not write any numbers in my notes.
You didn't write numbers? Oh, everybody's numbers, so like the coolest part.
You mean the dehumanizing part? I strayed away from that part.
Really? Okay. I wrote everybody's name and numbers except for 432.
Okay, fair.
All right. All right, so players of note. We have 432.
Yes.
We have Hussein 198, who is the man who calls 432 a frat boy. Yeah, also like if you don't like being like what like if you don't like being called a frat boy, like maybe you don't act like a frat boy. Like is that unreasonable for me to say? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he's taking such offense to it. Also, just like you don't react to it like people like just don't be this kind of antagonizing weird person. I think is the
432 or his name.
432.
I mean, they're both bad, but like
they're both
one escalate kind of, like.
Yeah.
Just call each other names. It's like that's normal reality TV show stuff, but you just can't threaten physical harm. Like if I'm Hussein, like I don't know if 432 is an actual psychopath who might actually murder me. Like find me a murderer. You don't know. Yeah. I don't know. You just met this guy. You can't allow this shit. Okay, so we have Hussein 198. Starla 318 is who you already talked about with the first elimination.
Very first.
She dreams of paying off her house and her car. That's her big dream.
Not today, Starla. Sad.
Yeah, what I love about this show and the way they started it, because like I was already thinking like, okay, you have 456 people, like you can't show everybody. So if I'm seeing somebody, like, what does that mean? Does that mean they're gonna make it? What does it mean? The first person they show on the show and her backstory is Starla 318. And she is the first person to die on the show. And it's beautiful.
Like, you real invested in her story and then just...
It's so good how they did that. Like, no matter who died first, whoever got eliminated first, I should say, whoever got eliminated first, like, they had to, like, build it like that. Like, introduce them, give them their sad story, and then boom, they're done. Like, that was such a good starting point for the show. And then I have... Lorenzo 161, who is a
character,
I would say an actual good TV villain is how I would label him.
Yeah, I feel like if in his like interview thing, like COVID broke this man. He was
is that what happened?
Yeah, he was saying he's like some business bro or whatever, and then he's like, and then the pandemic hit, and I'm like, why follow corporate rules? Why follow any rules? What are morals? It doesn't matter anymore.
Like the world's gonna die. Oh, the world's gonna be over in 5 years. Why should I do anything?
Yeah, he's a little unhinged, and it's kind of great.
Lorenzo 161 is actual good TV villain. Then we have Trey 301 and Leanne 302, who are son and mother, retired mother, oldest woman on the season, I believe.
I could take or leave Trey, but I love Leanne.
Leanne, yeah, I think Leanne, the mom, is the best character on the show so far through 2 episodes.
Yeah, she's great.
Which is not an archetype that I usually like on reality TV, but Leanne is crushing it.
Yeah.
Then we have Jada 097. Jada comes up a few times. I don't think there's anything very, like, she's just kind of confident.
Yeah.
And she's going to get into some commentary on Lorenzo that we'll get into, but I think she's shown enough in the episode that she's a person of note.
Yeah.
Then we have Steven 243.
Terrible mullet. Oh.
Well, he's the fit mullet guy.
Yeah, there are multiple terrible mullet guys.
His best friend is going to be eliminated in the first game, but he survives.
Yes.
And then we have Mothy 200.
He's here to make friends, but in a strategic sort of way.
He talks to everybody. We have Rick 232, who is the old man of the season.
Yes.
And then I wrote down, I don't know his name, 107. I didn't write down his name. Do you know what his name? 107 is going to like perform the best out of everybody. I think he comes first place in red, green, light. And
yeah, I don't know his name.
He doesn't get like confessionals, but I think it was just worth mentioning 107 because he's also going to get the hardest shape in the cookie game and pass. So he basically just does the best out of everybody in the first 2 games. But I guess we don't get his name, so that's probably not good for his edit, I guess.
I mean, people are talking about him, just using his number.
Yeah, well, I don't know what his name is.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else that you want to point out?
You missed my absolute favorite character in this whole fucking thing.
Okay.
I don't know his number, but his name is Spencer, and he's a hot mess. And it's I would watch
Spencer
20 episodes. I would watch 20 episodes of this man.
Really? Okay. I didn't have him in my. There are a couple of players that I have later in my notes that were not in my.
Yeah, we don't get him episode 1, but we get him episode 2, and it is.
There are a couple of players that are situationally important, but don't make it through the first 2 episodes, so I didn't.
Yeah, I am so sad he didn't make it through because
wow. Okay, wow.
I would watch the shit out of this guy on this show.
I believe it's Spencer 299.
Okay.
Wow. I can't wait to see what you say on that whole Spencer thing. All right. Anybody else you want to highlight?
Nobody that we need to talk about before we get to him.
Okay, so here we go. The first game is red light, green light. Do you want to explain the rules of red light, green light, Sarah?
Okay, so traditionally in English, it's you say red light and you have to or you have somebody at one end of the field and everybody on the other side. You sort of, I don't know if you have to turn around. It's been a long time since I've been a kid playing outdoor games. Yeah. But basically, when somebody says green light, you're allowed to run. You have to stop when they say red light. If you move after they say red light, you are eliminated. In Squid Game world, it's a giant, scary robot doll lady whose head turns around backwards and is singing the song that is traditionally goes with this game in Korean.
Okay.
So... Whereas in English with red light, green light, there is no cadence to when you might say red light or green light. I feel like the Korean version is a little bit more predictable because there's a whole phrase that has to be sung. And then at the end of that is when you have to stop.
Oh, you have to at least complete the phrase before you turn around. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a little more fair because otherwise you can't just be like red light, green light, red light.
Yeah, exactly. And in Squid Game world, if you move after the giant robot says stop, you get shot. In Squid Game, the challenge, they have equipped everybody with like a little like explosive ink pouch, like a squib they use for special effects in movies.
Yeah.
That explodes on their chest when they get eliminated.
Yeah.
It is black dye though, and not red dye, so that's something, I guess.
I thought it was great. I was laughing so hard when people's it's like right up almost like up to their neck.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a little while to realize what was going on because I was like, are they being hit by paintballs? Like, what's happening? But you can tell like, oh, it's coming from the inside of their shirt. So it's like everybody just has a little like explosive paintball ink pellet that they can just trigger from like remotely, which is like, again, like they have 456 like explodable ink pellets on these people's chests. Like it's crazy to think about.
Yep. And then they gotta keep track of, I don't know how their motion sensing situation works, but it's a whole thing.
So for the motion sensing, I think here's what I saw. I believe it was an interview with someone who we're going to meet later. Oh, Danny 134. I believe there was an interview with Danny 134. I didn't read the article, but based on the headline, I think it was something like the record. Even though this game is like theoretically 5 minutes long, I think it took like hours to film it.
Yeah, I read that it took like 7 hours to do it.
7?
I did
really? Holy
like
shit!
7 hours to film this thing. And yeah, so there's a countdown timer where you have to get across the line before 5 minutes of game time is up. But what I think probably caused this to take so long is, they do red light or green light, red light, and then shoot everybody who is moving.
Yep, they have to review the tape, right? I think they're reviewing.
Is that what you think they're doing?
Yeah, I think they're reviewing the footage of when they red light, and then and then saying like, okay, this person lost, and then they after they make the list each round, then they like set off their explosive inks.
Well, it does seem like, I don't know if this is true in this, but in the original, like a lot of people end up moving because of the flinching of people around them getting shot. And I can't recall now if we had any shots of anybody.
Oh, I don't think they were doing that.
And then getting eliminated. Yeah, okay.
I don't think they were doing that to people in this. Oh, we did see one person on the ground who looked like they were like waiting for a long time, and then they moved to look, and then I think they shot that person.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long they had to stay still for. That's what's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, did they have to stay still for like 20 minutes, like each pause? I don't know.
Well, we do get a section where one woman is like, you can hear her talk to herself, where she's like, why did I squat?
That made me laugh so hard.
It did too.
Why did I squat?
And then eventually, like, she just sat down and gave up because she's like, this is too painful. I can't do it anymore.
I can't stay in squat position for 20 minutes or whatever long they have to wait for. Yeah.
So yeah, you've got time to review who's moved, time to shoot all of them, and then they all like lay down, and then you have to move everyone out of the way so they don't get trampled by everyone.
Do they? I don't think they run. Did that.
No, they did move them out of the way because by the end of it, you do not see a whole field of dead bodies behind them. Oh,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And I can't imagine, like, just liability standpoint, them letting people run over top of other people.
See, okay, the show's looking out for you a little bit. Okay, good. I like that. I didn't think about that. That's
a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, 7 hours of filming this thing of running across the field that is supposed to, in real time, take 5 minutes. It does not sound like a fun time.
The low-key best part of the show is whenever they show anybody getting shot with the ink things, like, they've definitely been instructed to be like, act like you actually got shot.
Yeah.
And like, some people are good at it and some people are really bad at it. Like,
yeah.
Or some people get shot and then they like have a reaction and they're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to pretend like I'm dying. And then they like, and it's all in slow motion. Like, you get to see their like whole thought process of being shot. Like, oh, wait, now I have to pretend like I'm dying.
Yeah.
That made me laugh a lot in the first episode too. So, but is this room like very much exactly like the original?
Yeah, I mean, visually, like, it looks like exactly the same. It might not be as long, like it might not be as big.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. It's hard to tell.
The other crazy thing about the show is, like, mathematically, like, some people are gonna make it, right? But like, theoretically, everybody could just lose in the first game. Like,
yeah, it is kind of funny. I went back and watched all of Squid Game after watching these 2 episodes. And the amount of people that get eliminated during this game in the challenge and the original show is pretty similar.
Pretty similar? Yeah, that's interesting.
Now, I mean, in the original show, they have to shoot a lot of people because it's the moment they realize they'll die in the game and they all start running and trying to escape, and that's why they get shot. In the challenge, it's because it's hard not to move. But
yeah, it's actually hard. Like, you actually have to stay still for a very long time.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people I noticed that like started just laying down every time or like leaning up against the wall to like help them get through it.
I think that's really weird. Like, if you're just watching the show for the first time, you're like, why are they doing that? But I think people after the first couple of rounds realize, okay, I better get into like a position I can actually hold. Yeah. So there were some interesting strategies when it came to that.
And there are a lot of people with like their hands in their pockets, so they don't have to worry about their arms, flailing.
Yes, that's very smart too. Yeah. So was the so there's a couple different voices in the show. Like, so does the Was the woman's voice that kind of announces the games? Is that the same voice?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it? But but it's in Korean. I was just wondering, like, do they have a?
Well, okay.
It's a Korean voice versus American. Like, it's probably different, right?
When I did rewatch it, I watched it it was dubbed.
Oh, it's the same as the dubbed
so it might
voice
be
actress.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I did not listen to the voice back to back to guarantee, but it like has the same tonality to it. It sounds. Similar.
That's pretty cool if they use the dubbed voice actor for the challenge.
And when I originally watched it in Korean, it was a woman's voice. So like they're at least following that theme of like the announcer is some disembodied woman.
Okay. What about the like red shirt guy? The one of the the people with the shapes on their face.
Yeah, that happens too.
The same voice. It says the same guy voice.
I don't know if it's the same guy voice or not, but it's a similar a similar vibe.
Okay, so they actually explain the rules of this first game, the red light green light game. They're not going to explain the rules of the second game, so I was just like, I guess I'm supposed to have watched the show, but I mean, I figured it out, but I feel like there was no explanation.
It's also really silly to not explain the second one because, like, the first one, that's the game that, this is an English show on an American, Netflix or whatever. Like, yeah, it's an American game that children play, so you don't have to explain it too much. The second game is distinctly Korean, and there is no equivalent.
Is the second thing actually a game? Like, is it a real kids game?
I don't know if it's a game so much as it's a snack and a thing that that kids would do with a snack, I guess,
Okay. All right. Okay, yeah. So they have 5 minutes to get across the line at the end of the room, but they have to stop whenever the doll stops singing and turns the head around. Yeah. What else do we... Oh, yeah, the woman that was like, why did I squat? That made me laugh so hard. Like, why did she squat? We didn't get to see like why she ended up in that position. She was just like she ended up pausing in a squat position. Oh, that was so funny. The big story of Red Light Green Light is Leanne 302.
Yeah,
who's the mom of 301.
She was at the back of the pack, almost didn't make it across, but she made it in time.
Trey 301 makes it, and he's like worrying, like, maybe is my mom gonna make it? And then there's only like 30 seconds left. And then there's like this beautiful music with the mom like running in slow motion.
That is also from the original.
Oh, is it? Oh, see, that's actually awesome. Like, yeah, I think the show, honestly, from an editing perspective, I think this show is doing very well. Because like, there's not really a lot going on in this show, but they're still making great stories out of it.
Yeah.
But then when Leanne crossed the line, she just like hugs Trey immediately, and they just like celebrate together. And like, I thought they were gonna like keep it secret that they were mom and son, but they're just like,
oh, not at all.
Like, I think Rick is in the background, and he's just like, that's weird. Like, they're hugging a lot. So they completely blow their cover, and they don't even try to hide it after that. So everybody knows that the son and the mom are in the game together.
Yeah. I don't know that they did a lot of strategic planning ahead of time.
The first game, I was like red light, green light. How's this going to be interesting? But they made it good.
Yeah.
That's only like halfway through the first episode, completing the game, because then they have to go to the living area, which I think they refer to as the dormitory.
Yes.
Okay. Is this dormitory the same as the original show?
Yes.
It is. Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool.
And for anyone who has not seen it, these are bunk beds, but they are 5 beds high.
Is it 5? I thought it was like 7. But
I thought I counted 5.
Okay, 5 is a lot too. It's a lot.
It's really high.
Now, is there enough beds in there to fit 456?
I don't know.
I
know that in the original show they like remove beds as people are eliminated. But I don't.
They probably do that for this too, then.
And it is this is a thing that kind of bothered me that nobody checked on. In the original show, they don't really talk about it, but like if you paid attention, you notice as the beds are eliminated, you see along the wall of the dorms is sort of like pictographs of all the different games. So if you were paying attention, you could have figured out what the games are going to be. And they didn't highlight anybody trying to figure out what the games might be based on the walls.
It must not be a thing on the show then, because there's
no
way these people didn't know.
Well, I think they might not have just not have highlighted it. Like they might not have.
Oh, like they're saving it like as a reveal.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, I was disappointed. I didn't see anybody look for that because, like, that's another thing that I find that is weird about this show is that, like, so much of the drama and the tension of Squid Game or the twists and turns and the not knowing what comes next. But if you have watched Squid Game, which I would hope you would watch if you were participating in this show, it kind of ruins a lot of that, you know? You're spoiled, and I don't know how you overcome that in some circumstances. They've done some things in this in the second game to like help that, which I think they did a good job of. I'm interested to see how that goes moving forward.
I'm guessing there's going to be a twist on every game going forward. Now, red light, green light is exactly the same.
Yeah, hard to make a twist. Maybe not that important to make a twist.
I'm guessing based on players' reactions, like if something's surprising to them, it's like, okay, this wasn't in the original show. So it sounded like the twist on the second game was not in the original show. And then this third game is not going to be tug of war, so that's at least
that's
throwing people
brand
off.
new. Yeah, but there is a part in the original show where they like have to team up. So they have to team up for tug of war, and they're just like a team of 10, and they're like all working together if they're on that team. And then for a later game, they have to get into teams of 2. So they're all going into that thinking, oh yeah, I have to find somebody I'm going to work with. But then they have to go and play a game against that person, and so they're like theoretically eliminating the person they're closest to in the game, and it's absolutely devastating. And it's like, that doesn't translate to this game now.
Well, the show might switch
that you've seen that, you know, like, so it's hard to have moments like that. I don't know what they're gonna do. We'll see.
Yeah. So there's a shit ton of bunk beds in a room.
Yeah.
What's your sleep strategy on the show, Sarah? If you're on the show, what bunk level you sleeping at?
Okay.
Is there a preferred bunk level?
On this show, or given what I know about Squid Game? Because there's difference.
Oh, well, I'm assuming you've seen Squid Game, you're on the show. What's the strat?
Well, okay. The problem, here's the strat in original Squid Game is
you're not going to get murdered in your sleep on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing. Like,
don't worry about that. You're not getting murdered.
You can't sleep at the top because people could topple over the whole thing and you're going to die. You can't sleep at the bottom because somebody can sneak up and stab you. On Squid Game, the challenge, I can't sleep at the top because that's scary as fuck.
Okay.
And the bottom's probably good because you can be in your bed and then socialize with people. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're also the selfish person who went, I get the bottom bunk, deal with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like second level is pretty cool. I think
probably,
I might be right.
Yeah.
And then what's the social strategy, Sarah?
The social strategy,
456 people, but you're coming in here and there's like already, I think 197 remain by the time you're getting to the dormitory. What's the social strategy? You want to get
like 5 people.
5, okay.
That you loosely feel okay with.
Okay.
You want to generally have a pleasant attitude and not be a dick. You do want to look capable. That's probably, however you can do that socially. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay.
But not too capable. You know, you got to toe that line.
Okay.
Because if you're out socializing too much, that looks bad. If you're out being a dick, that looks bad. If you've gathered, you know, if you look like you're too good at games, that is bad.
Yeah.
You got to live in the mediocrity, but still have a couple people that you can rely on, but not really trust. Because in the end, like, you got to assume this is going down to just one person at the end. So you're not like leaving here and splitting the cash with anybody, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious if that's actually the same. Because 4.56 million for one person to win is like, I don't know, it's got to be a record for reality TV.
Yeah.
So much.
In the original show, they never specify that it's only going to get down to one person, but like
it does.
It does, and the intent of this being a blood sport for rich people to bet on and watch is, you know, you get down to one person. I don't know if that translates over to this show or not.
Okay. Yeah, I think very early on I was like, you just have to be invisible on this show. Like, that's got to be the strat early on, at least. And like the people I would talk to would just be like the other people I see not talking to anybody. Like, I would just be picking up stragglers and making an alliance that way. Like something that's not really going to be noticed. Whereas like some people are making, you can tell they're making groups, but they're like all the they're all the frat bros for like
they're all the frat bros, or they're all the guys with the terrible hair, or yeah.
So yeah, with this many people on a TV show, you just want to be invisible. Now on a show like Survivor, when it starts with 18 and you're gonna try like 3 tribes of 6, and you're going to like elimination, there's only 6 people. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be invisible. Like you
Right.
you want to be talking to people, making them feel good about you, and getting in a majority alliance so that you're not voted out on the first tribal council. But it's very much the opposite on the show. Like you
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, honestly, like the less social you are, probably the better.
Yeah, you want to blend in.
Yeah. You think you'd crush this show, Sarah? At least early on. Well, you
No.
just have to beat the games, but you're not going to get eliminated by these. We're going to get into these dormitory tests that you get a chance to eliminate people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
socially.
I'm gonna survive those because nobody's gonna know who I am. That's easy. But the rest of it,
My height might work against me. I might stand out from height perspective.
you
but
gotta hunch the whole time.
I could just like sit down the whole time. I think I can work around that. All right, so they're in the dormitory, and what do you call these people? I call them red shirts, but what
No,
is
they're
there a name?
guards or whatever.
They're
Yeah,
guards.
sure.
Okay,
I don't know.
they're essentially the dealers from the Devil's Plan, but they're
Yeah,
dressed
yeah.
in red and they have
You can't see their
masks.
faces.
You can't see their
yeah.
faces, and they have like shapes on them, just like in the show, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, so the red shirt people come in, and then they announce the players remaining and how many are eliminated. So there's 197 remaining, which means in the first game, 259 were eliminated. This is a pretty exciting moment because the way they do this is like they have this like big 3-digit number graphic on the screen, and then they spin it like it's a slot machine.
yeah.
And then it lands on a number. It's actually pretty exciting how they did this. Like all the contestants were going crazy. Like every time it got like it would go down another hundredths place. It was like
Everybody was like, "Oh,
under
yep."
200. Holy crap. So yeah, lots of people gone. And then a giant disco ball comes out of the ceiling.
A giant clear piggy bank. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just starts
Same
filling
as in
with
the
money.
show. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I assume it's the same, but it's like again, like the production of this is insane, but maybe they're using the same set. I don't know. Yeah, just money starts pouring into this ball. And for each person eliminated, $10,000 is being added to the prize pool. And then I believe this is not in the original show. They announce that there will be tests in the dormitory between games.
Yes. This takes the place of in the original show, people go, "Oh, more people eliminated, the bigger the prize pool. I'll just murder people in the night to get, the prize pool up."
Yeah.
So instead of that, they've given them a chance to eliminate people in the dorm.
I think the tests so far are my favorite part of the show. Like they're so good. Well, this first one's like really simple, but it's still interesting. So they don't know what the tests are going to be. They just let them know like the test will either like give people advantages or give them an opportunity to eliminate people. That's like all they know.
Yes.
And this is not in the show, so they really have no idea what this aspect of the game is. Other than that, it gets them thinking like, okay, social, like big social will have an impact, If someone gets an opportunity to eliminate somebody, I don't want it to be me. So however, again, just be invisible. Like it's still the strategy, but it doesn't hurt to have friends either. And then it's time for chores. It was chores in the original show.
No, chores is not in the original show. This is an excuse to get people into places where they can do the tests, basically.
Yeah. So we see people like some people have to go to the bathroom, and some people are cleaning the bathrooms, and other people have to go to the kitchen and do the dishes, and other people are peeling carrots or prepping food.
Yes.
And then we see Kyle 101 and Danny 134.
Kyle also has a terrible mullet. He is in the mullet crew.
Okay. And they've been tasked with peeling carrots in the kitchen, and it's just the two of them. And then they get an announcement on a speaker that's just in their room, and it says that they've been selected to take the first test, which is just a decision that they have to make.
Yeah.
Now, how were Kyle 101 and Danny 134 selected? Do you think it was random? Do you think it was predetermined that however they decided who peels the carrots will get this first thing? Like,
I think it was probably whoever's in the kitchen. Now I don't know how they decided who.
How they decided who went to the kitchen. It's kind of
Yeah.
I would hope that they just kind of randomized all the chores and then maybe knew like, okay, whoever has to peel carrots is going to get the thing. But we don't know why Kyle and Danny were selected to make this decision. But the first test in the dormitory is just a decision that will be made anonymously between Kyle and Danny. They together have to decide if they want to give one player in the game an advantage for the next main match,
Yeah.
or whatever. And then, or they can just straight up eliminate another person in the game.
It is not clear to me if they have to choose between the two of them to get an advantage, or if they have to choose someone specifically outside of the room they're in to get the advantage. It is not clear. They did not pick it, so I do not know.
I think they couldn't choose themselves.
Okay.
And so, like, they had to agree to give somebody else an advantage, which is like anonymously giving somebody an advantage is like nothing.
Yeah.
Or just, add $10,000 to the prize pool by eliminating somebody. Pretty easy choice, in my opinion, Sarah. What would you have
done? It just seems like
oh, you're so weak, Sarah. Come on.
Yeah, I am weak. Like, but just like the game will naturally eliminate enough people for the prize pool. I promise you. Like, there is no need to help that shit along. Like, you're not doing anybody a great service.
Well, don't eliminate somebody that would be eliminated anyway. Just eliminate somebody that, hey, this person seems like they might be good at this.
Yeah. So that, like, you have to strategically pick a person, and you can't, like, they both fall back on this logic of like they, after they choose a person, they go through reasons why to choose specific people, but after that they fall back on, well, besides, we want more money in the prize pool, like, it's fine, like, that's how they justify it in the end, not this person was a big threat. They abandon that after they discuss who to pick. So I'm just like, stick with your guns and be like, oh, well, that person was going to be a threat, that's why I got rid of them. Just have that conviction is all I ask.
It's less about adding money to the prize pool as much as it's just like, hey, one less person that I might have to split the money with later. That's kind of my thought process. So yeah, I think it's an easy choice. Like, you don't even know what the advantage is. Now they might know what the game is, and maybe they can guess what the advantage is from that. But also, it's like helping one other person get the advantage. Now, if they could have agreed between the two of them, which one of them got the advantage, that might have been interesting.
And you start to build an alliance of people who are kind of not really connected, which is,
yeah, that could have been interesting if, like, they had to agree to one of them getting the advantage, and then maybe they couldn't come to that agreement, so they decided to eliminate somebody.
They very quickly do not seem to even regard the advantage as an option.
So let me talk through the people they talk about. They bring up the son and mother, Trey and Leanne, just because they're son and mother. However, they don't mention their numbers, and I think that's important to think about.
Oh, they might not have been able to remember them.
Yeah. And then, because they didn't know their name, they just knew there was a son and mother. Then they bring up 432, and they do mention 432 by number.
Yes.
And then they bring up Mothy 200.
Because he's been really socializing is the excuse that they give.
Also, his number is 200.
It's easy to remember. Yep.
I think Mothy might have just been screwed by the fact that he was number 200. He had like the most memorable number. Now, they did remember 432.
Well, yeah, because he's very loud and was talking about his number for a while too.
Yeah. So it wasn't like Mothy was the only number they remembered, but I still think the fact that he was number 200 was not good for him. Yeah. And now Trey and Leanne are 301 and 302, which are not hard numbers to remember necessarily, but I think they just didn't know their numbers. And I don't know, like, do you have to know somebody's number to eliminate them? I don't know.
Maybe. But I think, like, when you look at Trey and Leanne, what you notice first is that she's an old lady and his mom. Like, you don't, like, necessarily, like, they physically are distinctive in that way where you're not looking at their number necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think they would have eliminated Leanne, but I could have seen Trey maybe gets eliminated here if they know his number.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I could take or leave him, but Leanne's awesome.
So yeah, they choose to eliminate Mothy 200, which is going to get announced the next day. So it's also not immediate because they don't want it to be like tied to the people that are doing chores necessarily.
Yes.
They don't really want the people in the game to know how the test was administered, basically. So they wait till the next day, but before the next game. So
yes,
Mothy basically has been eliminated, but he's still in the game.
I would be pissed. I'd be like, you made me sleep in this dumb bunk bed and eat your shitty food when I got eliminated. I could have left. I could have slept somewhere better and gotten some food I actually liked. Thanks, production.
Nah, this is what you signed up for. It protects the integrity of the game. It's worth it. Okay. And then, they finish the chores, and then it's time for food. This is when we get the good villain stuff. And I don't even know if this is actually being a villain, but so the red shirts come out with these like containers filled with little tins of food, like army food. Like it looks like you have like some army tin of food, right?
Yeah, again, rewatching the original show, it's like the same food. Like they had a rice and carrots and egg situation. Yeah.
It's the same food? Is it the same like tins and stuff too?
Yeah. Now I don't think that's gonna be true moving forward, because in the actual show they just start to give them like just an egg, so they get hungry and angry and are more likely to murder each other. I don't think that's what production's going for here. So I think they'll get real food.
They might. I mean, it's like, compared to like Survival, I don't know like what they knew they know it's Squid Game, right?
Yeah.
Like you might just not get food. Like it's a thing.
People are still complaining about the quantity and quality of this food.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna complain, but I mean, you know what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Like if you go on Survivor, you're not gonna be surprised when you're hungry. Like yeah. So everybody gets in line, and then when you get to the line, you basically get a tin of food. But this is where we can talk about Lorenzo 161.
So he gets his tin of food, looks at it, he's like, that's not much, goes, hides it in his bed, gets back in line, gets a second tin of food. This is also something that happens in the show.
Oh, is it? Wait, nobody else thought of this?
Okay, but in the show, in the original show, they only have exactly the amount of food for the number of people in the room. And so it becomes a point of conflict when 5 people have gotten in the line a second time and then 5 people are left without food. We do not see that here, so they probably had a little extra at least.
I don't think people actually lost out on having food, because that would have definitely been in the show if that was the case.
But we do get some, like, there's a group of women that clock him doing this.
Yeah, so the group of women includes Jada 097.
Oh, right, because she just kind of sees everything.
Yeah, so Jada 097 and her friends see Lorenzo 161 do this thing with the food. And now it makes sense now that, like, okay, if it was in the show, people are looking out for it. Because I thought he was pretty stealthy about it, honestly. So I was kind of surprised that somebody saw it. But so Jada 197, they're like commentating on it. This is also like low-key my favorite part of the show, is the commentary on other people doing things.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is, like, they get kind of like, they're like, oh my God, can you see that guy? He took another tit. Like, they're like commentating on it, but they don't actually confront him, which is like the right strategy, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's a funny thing. They're doing a funny thing with them and their friends, but they're not getting so mad that they need to, like,
make a big deal about it.
Because you still want to, again, you want to be invisible. But we need to highlight this even more. Like, I don't think anybody else actually lost out on having food.
Right.
It was just kind of a funny moment. And it's like, is it a villain edit for Lorenzo? Sure, yeah. But it's like, ultimately, he just tricked production into giving him more food, I think. Like, he didn't actually, I mean, it gives him an advantage over everybody, theoretically, but he didn't, like, actually steal anybody's food.
Exactly. He does get some leftovers from some, like, 2 other people who did not finish theirs, and the women also notice that because they're just watching him. So
it's so good.
It's great. And this is also where we get that bit from his, like, intro interview where he talks about how the pandemic broke him and he just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah. Which is also a great villain confessional.
Yeah.
Yeah, he eats 2 tins of food, and then he goes sits down to people, and he's like, nobody wastes food. Like, if you're not going to finish it, I'll eat it. And then, like, 2 people give them, like, half of their food. Because nobody, like, likes the food.
Yeah.
Again, his motivation is probably based on the show. He's like, we might not be getting food. Like, I actually think Lorenzo's, like, doing a good thing here, I think.
Yeah.
Even though it's, like, villainous, I think it's smart.
Yeah, especially in the case where they're definitely not giving somebody food, you know, like he hasn't taken it from someone.
All right, and then we get lights out, and then we go to the next day, right?
Yes.
The next day rolls around, and the red shirts come back, and they announce the results of the first test.
It is important to note that there are no clocks in here. There's no real sense of time. There's no windows. It is, I think somebody compares it to a casino, which is accurate.
Yeah, 432 has a good comparison to a casino where they actually have no idea. 432 has issues with people snoring around him, and he's very sensitive. And they show everybody in bed, like, sleeping, and he just decided to get out of bed and do push-ups in the dark.
Push-ups in the dark, yeah.
That was funny. And then he's, like, actually getting mad at people for snoring.
Yeah. Even though like people had discussed it previously, they're like, yeah, I snore, and then he gets mad about it anyway.
Yeah. So the red shirts come in, they announce the results of the test, and he was like, people had the opportunity to give an advantage or eliminated somebody. They decided to eliminate, and then people start freaking out. They're like, oh my God. Eliminate. They decided to eliminate. And then you get a lot of reactions from people, and they keep getting camera shots of Kyle 101 and Danny 134. Kyle is very bad, I think, in hiding.
And I think it's Jada again who clocks him. She's like, that guy looks so suspicious. Yeah. Like, she sees everything.
It's either her or her friend, but Jada's like in that group, yeah. But here's another moment where I have to question this one's not as bad, but it's still a little too much for me, where they still haven't heard who's eliminated yet, I think. But they're just saying, some people are very like, they're very on their high horse being like, I would never have eliminated somebody. That's what they think. And then for some reason they do suspect Kyle. Like one of Kyle's friends is like, was that you? And he's like, nah. He's like, no, it wasn't me. And then his buddy says like, if that was you, I'm gonna hunt you down. And then he's like, haha, it wasn't me though. And then he's like, no, like seriously, I'm gonna hunt you down. I'm like, dude, yeah. Like you want like you could be playful about that, but like you, I think when you said like, no, seriously, I'm gonna hunt you down, like that's a step too far.
That's too much, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a moment in the show later where the guy that 432 threatens, he talks about how like he wants to eliminate 432, and he mentions that 432 like threatened him, and then the person says to him like, oh, that was you, as if they were aware of a situation that happened. But I don't know if it like heard it through the grapevine, because there were other people that heard 432 say it, so they heard it that way, or did like production make an announcement where they decided not to eliminate anybody, but were like,
please stop threatening each other.
Please stop threatening each other inside and after the show. Like that's not okay. And then people put together like, oh, somebody must have been threatening. And then I don't know. Either way, I think you just gotta eliminate people on the spot.
Yeah.
And again, but this one's like the 432 is easy. Like he's just eliminated, disqualified. This one's a little like, again, like I'm like, if I'm meeting somebody and it's the second day I met somebody and they're like, no, seriously, I'm gonna hunt you down. Like I'm like, it's a little too much to me.
Yeah.
But it's not like, okay, this person's actually a psychopath. They might just have like a darker sense of humor that I'm not not comfortable with. But yeah, we don't get this person's name, so I feel like they're not as important or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so they do the 3-digit number graphic again with the slot machine effect, and people are freaking out. Like whatever number comes out is the person that's eliminated, and then it comes out 200. They do it in the hundreds. So like first you're like if you're not in the 200s, you're like, oh god, I'm safe. Yeah. But then it comes out 200 and it's Mothy, and I guess a lot of people did like Mothy because there's a lot, like some people start crying when Mothy gets eliminated.
It was very dramatic.
Like there's this one guy that they actually do. He did get a confessional. I'm forgetting what his name is, but he did get a confessional, but I didn't have him appointed note. And he's like straight up like sobbing and being like, no. So it's an intense atmosphere in this Squid Game, even though nobody's actually dying. They reacted like he was actually dying.
And then I think like Danny's standing with her friends and they're just like, oh, I can't believe somebody would do that. Oh, I would never do it. And she's just like,
oh yeah, Danny's best friend in the game is also like, I don't think I could eliminate someone. That's just too messed up. Danny's like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. It sucks for Mothy, but that's a show. Again, like if you're going on the show, it's not going to be fair. There's going to be a lot of randomness. Now again, did Mothy really do anything wrong? No, but he could have had a better strategy for what the show was. If he could have definitely been more invisible. Depending on who else got the opportunity to eliminate, I think like he's not getting eliminated for sure. Like there are other like 432 might get eliminated with other people. Yeah, I'll say this about 432: as much as I hate him, I'm not eliminating him.
No.
He's too much. He's too much of a shield. Everybody wants to eliminate him. Like I'm already gonna try to be invisible. But let's say I'm like standing out a little bit. Like 432 is somebody that people will eliminate before me, hopefully. Unless they're
Fair.
smart enough to know they shouldn't eliminate 432.
So then you have to pick somebody. Who are you picking?
Oh, who am I picking? Somebody that looks like they're probably strong at the games, assuming I know what the games might be, and also somebody who's maybe not standing out. Now, if I had to know a number on day one, it'd be hard, right?
Yeah.
And Mothi, again, he didn't look out of shape. But the 107, the guy that comes in first in the first game, I think that would have been a fair elimination.
Okay. That's assuming you notice.
You have to know the number.
You know the number. Yeah.
I might not have even known who finished first, honestly. I wouldn't expect myself to finish first in the first game. Honestly, Trey would have been fair, considering he has like a relative in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who I would have done. I don't think I would have eliminated Trey or even Mothi. If I knew a number of somebody, I think I would have just eliminated like a random person. The thing is, you have to agree with somebody else. So the other person has to like kind of be a go with your strategy kind of thing. If the other person's like really wants to get rid of 432, am I really gonna like put my neck on the line to save 432? No, I'm not. But
yeah.
I'm not gonna, because then they're gonna start associating me with. I don't want to be associated with like defending 432. You know?
Yeah.
But if it's like if I get lucky and it's another reasonable person who's like, oh yeah, I don't want to get rid of 432 either, then I'll just get rid of somebody else. But what about you? Getting rid of 432?
Probably just because he's the one I could remember. Unless there had been like somebody in the circle of where I've been hanging out who was loud and obnoxious or clearly like scheming in a useful way.
Yeah.
It all depends on who you interact with. But yeah, it's probably 432.
There's a great scene before the first test where people are like discussing like, oh, if you could eliminate somebody, who'd eliminate? I think Trey asked his mom
if she'd even eliminate someone, and she's just like, yeah, I'd eliminate Rose.
She's like, I'm definitely eliminating somebody.
Trey's mom goes hard. It's so good.
Yeah, because everybody's else like they show a couple other people being like, who would you eliminate? And they're like, I don't know if I would eliminate. I don't know. And then they're like, well, if you did, who would it be? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then they go to Trey asking his mom, and the mom's like, oh, I'm not afraid to eliminate somebody. I'll definitely. And it's like, who would you eliminate? And then she like gets up out of her bed and she looks around the room like, let me think about it for a second. She was just like eyeballing people, like.
And she ultimately picks like
the group of bros.
She calls the bros, who are 432 and the people he hangs out with. So,
yeah. And she says that she would probably eliminate 432. And then later, Trey is also going to say he would probably eliminate 432. But I think Leanne's opinion might change later, and we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah.
I think Leanne's figuring out the show faster than some other people.
Yeah, she's excellent.
Yeah. The person getting eliminated, the slot machine number reveal was great. Honestly, the number reveal moments are really fun on the show. I can imagine like being in that room and that the slot machine is running and you're just like, God, I hope that number's not me. God damn it.
And then like shortly after, just a little pile of money enters the just like boop.
And then everybody booed, right? They were like, boo, eliminating somebody, even though that's what I would have done too.
100%.
All right, time for the next game. So everybody lines up and they go through what they call the game hall, which is a crazy set of stairs that is colorful and like the passageways are hard to follow. This has to be from the original show,
from the
right?
show.
Okay.
Like even the camera angles they choose to highlight are from the show. Like they did a real good job of this.
I'm telling you, they're going all out on this thing. This is nuts.
Yeah, it's great.
So they make it through the colorful staircase maze and then eventually arrive at just a white room.
Which is not. This is where it differs from the original show.
Okay, this room is not in the original show. This is the room before the room that's in the show.
Yes.
And this is a great twist. I assume this whole thing is a twist. This is really good.
Yeah, so this game is called what? Dalgona, something like that. It's a Korean candy, which is like it's a sugar that's mixed up and flattened, and then like a shape is pressed into it, and that is a traditional Korean treat for children. And so everybody who has seen Squid Game knows that in this game there are 4 different shapes to pick. It's circle, triangle, star, and then umbrella. And you have to take a little pin and like
needle
scrape a little needle and scrape the shape out without cracking the internal shape, which is really hard when you're doing a fucking umbrella compared to a triangle.
Yeah. I think triangle would be the easiest. Some people said circle was, but I think triangle would
Triangle's
be
definitely the easiest. And the like candy is pretty brittle, so if you push too hard, it's gonna crack all the way through. So in the original show, they go directly into a room that is like an oversized playground, and they have these 4 shapes on the wall. No explanation. They're just line up in front of one of them. So now going into this game, you know what the shapes mean, so they can't do that. So instead, they bring them into this room, and they're like, just get in 4 lines. And so I think what a lot of people do is they assume the order based on the show, and they're like, oh, well, I'll get in, at least this is what I would do. I'd be like, I'll get in the line that I think goes to triangle. But they have to get into 4 even lines, and then I swear all hell breaks loose. They did this really good.
This is so good. Yeah.
They dealt with this conundrum excellently, I'd have to say.
Yeah. So they're all in their lines. Now, is the shape order the same as in the original show?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised they didn't mix that up.
They could have done that, and that would have been like just a baseline, easy way to deal with it. But I think what they actually did is far more clever, you know?
You could have randomized the order and still did what they did. But they didn't have to either way. But some like the people that got in the 4th line like might be the people that know the show the least or something. I don't know why. Because Leanne is like, well, Leanne's logic is that the number 4 is like unlucky in Korea or something.
I mean, which is accurate.
Which I guess is accurate, yeah. Yeah, so the people that were bold enough stand in front of the line. Again, big mistake.
Big mistake. Do not want to be at the front of the line.
Don't want to be at the front of the line. But I don't want to be at the end either.
Yeah, solidly in the middle is a good choice.
They announce that the first person, they divide into 4 lines of equal length. And then they announce that the first person from each line has to follow the red shirts into the next room. And then they get there, and it's the playground with the shapes on the wall, assuming pretty much like the show, the set.
There is only 1 swing in here, whereas in the show there is a lot more oversized playground equipment. So
oh, okay. So it's bigger.
They maybe
they scaled it down a
out
little
there.
bit.
Yeah. Okay. But there is a screen back in the room where everyone is lined up that is then showing what is going on in this room, which is
audio and video.
So smart. Yeah, audio and video is excellent choice.
This is great. And then the announcer woman announces that they basically have 2 minutes. The 4 people that are in this room have 2 minutes to unanimously agree on who gets which shape for the game they're going to play, but they all pretty much know what the game is going to be.
Well, they did. I think they even went through the rules.
They called it, okay.
You're going to get this stamp shaped into a thing. You got to get it out with a needle. This shape corresponds to what shape is in your, snack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they know exactly what's happening.
Yeah. And then not only are they unanimously deciding for themselves what shape they get, but they're also deciding for the rest of the line that they came from.
Yes.
And the key is they have to unanimously agree.
And they have 2 minutes.
And they just say, you have 2 minutes to decide. Good luck. And everybody knows that you're pretty much just dead if you pick Umbrella. Like,
yeah.
Like, I don't know how it was in the show, but it must have been bad because people are like, fuck that. I'm not taking Umbrella no matter what.
Yes.
And then people try to like strong arm each other and being like, well, here's a bullshit reason why I deserve triangle. And then somebody's like, here's a bullshit reason why I deserve circle. And here's a bullshit reason why I deserve star. And then one person that didn't come up with a bullshit reason fast enough is stuck being like, well, I'm not taking Umbrella, guys. Like, what are we going to do? And then they're like, just take Umbrella, dude. We already decided because we decided. And then the person's like, well, we did it because it has to be unanimous. And then 2 minutes expires.
And then they all get eliminated from the game.
All get blown up by the detonators.
Meanwhile, you have people outside just basically like screaming at the people inside, like, don't give up, don't change your line, or like, no, you gotta get the other one. So I don't think they can hear them, but like everyone is involved and amped up about it.
This is so good. So yeah, everybody, if you don't come unanimous system, all 4 people just get eliminated instantly. And again, go on the show, production doesn't give a shit about you. They're coming up with reasons to get you eliminated. Like, you got to be cautious as hell. Like, anytime you might break a rule, you should be eliminated, which should include threatening people. But apparently that's the one rule you can break, if that's even a rule. So yeah, so those 4 people, they get eliminated, and then the woman's like, well, the next 4 people at the front of the line, please enter the next room.
And they decide to do a race.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
the same situation.
Do not abide by the results of the race.
Because the race is so bullshit. Like, the fastest guy there was like, let's do a race, and then whoever gets there first. And then he says, ready, set, go, but like goes before everybody even goes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's terrible. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. And then like somebody's like just sliding down the thing instead of just staying where it's a whole mess. And then that group of people also get eliminated.
And then like the person that was the odd person out there that like touched the wall last, or just wasn't, they're not on Umbrella, but they're not on any shape, was just like, the game is to agree, guys. But like they couldn't come up with a reason or anything to say that would like, I don't know. I think some people just like didn't know what to do, which is fair. It's like, what do you do? And then, but Umbrella is so bad that the second group of people that knows what's going to happen if they don't agree does not agree, and they all get eliminated. That's how bad Umbrella is.
Yeah.
That's incredible to me. All right, so the next 4 people have to come.
Yeah, like that's the end of the episode then. Like just, they cannot decide, people keep getting eliminated.
The entire show, theoretically, should just be over. Like, nobody should agree to do Umbrella until all the people are eliminated. And then the show makes a decision as to how they want to handle this. Like, how far would it have to have make it before the show was like, well, there needs to be more TV show.
We can't have 4 people in the last 4 games.
Even if it was 12 people, like even if you pick a shape, you might still lose the game.
Yeah.
Even if you get a good shape. So like, what if it got down to 12 people? Is the show not gonna? I don't know. At some point, I feel like if it went far enough, I think the show would have maybe.
It had to have had a contingency plan.
Yeah, they had to have, right? But I think what their actual contingency plan is that they casted people that would cave to this exercise. And they must have casted a large number of them because they had to at least get through the first game. So this is where for the first time, we're going to meet Spencer 299.
The best character in this show. Oh
really?
My gosh.
That's such an interesting take.
Here is like, were you not entertained watching him during this whole exchange?
The gut of the edit is to like feel bad for him, but ultimately I just think he makes a bad choice and
I don't even know that I feel bad for him. It's just like everything he said in his confessional was wild to me. Just the fact that he said it.
The reason I feel bad for him is a little bit because his confessional makes it seem like he's kind of like he's definitely socially.
There's no reason he should be on this show.
But he's on the show.
Like,
he's on the show to cave.
On this show?
He's literally on the show to cave to this game, and they must have casted a bunch of people like him that would cave to this game. Yeah, it's like I feel bad for him because he feels like he's. What does he say about himself? He's like, well,
let's start with how we're introduced
to
him. Okay, so like it's the beginning of episode 2. At the front of the line, we have in one of the lines, it's 432. And he turns to his bros and he's like, would you all be pissed if I just took Umbrella if everybody else says no? And they're like, yeah, we'd be pissed. So he is set on not taking Umbrella.
He claims he's not taking Umbrella, but he put it out there that he was willing to take Umbrella.
But then like social pressure dictates that this man is not gonna give in, right?
I don't know, Sarah. If only he was tested.
And then we have somebody in a line go, that guy over there, he doesn't really talk well. I think he's going to give in. And then it pans over to the front of the 4th line, and it is this tall blonde man who is about to be crying. His face is so red, and he's just like, it's a problem. And 432 notices and is just like, dude, stop crying. Like, he immediately starts like being a dick to him, right?
Yeah, 432 is an ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, him complaining about him crying is such a frat boy move.
And he's got like people coming up around him like going, okay, you can't give in, man. Like you can't give in to that guy. He's going to bully you, whatever. Do not take Umbrella. We're all going to die. And he's just standing there not saying anything, just trying not to openly bawl in front of everyone.
Oh, he's crying, right?
He's crying, but he's like trying not to, and it's not working.
He's crying because he knows he's picking Umbrella. He knows he's picking Umbrella before he even goes in there.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we get his confessional. So he's a software engineer. He is a self-described mama's boy. He's like, I used to cry a lot. I used to wet the bed. It took well into adulthood before I was able to make any friends. And you know what? I'm really gullible. I believe anything anybody tells me.
Yeah.
My siblings are sarcastic as fuck, and I never get it. And I'm like, why are you on this? You shouldn't be on this show, my dude. This is not a safe space for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I kind of feel bad about it, is because like he almost seems like maybe like almost like not even like a mentally healthy person. Almost is like maybe that's like he's fine. Like he'll be fine after this, but like I feel bad because he's basically cast on the show to cave to picking Umbrella.
Yeah.
It's like that's it that's why it kind of feels bad to me.
He does have another like confessional where like he talks about how he grew up in a really, religious environment. Like he's a Mormon guy. And then he's like, but I don't know anymore. Like, so this guy is going through
that
like,
I appreciated.
this big like moment of like maybe getting rid of the faith and community he grew up in. And like right now he's in this weird spot emotionally and is now on this show where people are going to be terrible to him. And it is such an interesting cross section of information you get about him that I'm like, I want to watch him to the end of the show.
Okay.
I want to watch his full arc of like coming out and not crying and defeating everybody. But that's not going to happen.
My reaction to Spencer 299 is more of like, it kind of like was a little bit depressing. I feel like more than anything.
Yeah.
And also like, it's very disappointing from the standpoint to me where like, assuming I've watched the show and I understand the significance of picking Umbrella, like I'm going to die to not taking any unanimous decision here. But the dream scenario is you get put in that room with 432, and you get to die. You get to make 432 lose the show or switch, and he gets that opportunity and caves to Umbrella, which is really just, like if I was on this, like if I go in that room and I've seen like 2 of them play out, right? If I go in that room, I'm not saying a word. Like I'm not saying a word. I'm waiting for the 2 other people in 432 to go pick their shape. And then I'm going to whatever shape 432 picks, putting my hand on it, facing away from the clock, and staring 432 down until either he switches or we both die. Like that'll be my moment on the show. I'm at least getting rid of 432. Like I shouldn't have been third in the line. I made a mistake. I should have been farther in the line. I'm already screwed. Like Umbrella is basically a death sentence. Like you might as well get a moment here.
It's a baller move. I'll give you that.
Spencer gets a moment, but his moment is basically wussing out and taking the Umbrella. Now, the thing about like bullying 432 432 being like, stop crying, bro. Like, that's dumb. But what 432 does in the shape picking like area once they go in, like I don't actually think 432 did anything wrong once they got in there. Now he strong arms, but it's like the situation dictates that you have to try something. Basically, Spencer went in there knowing he was picking Umbrella.
Yeah, that's why he was crying already.
He like tries to act tough in a way that's like awkward. Because he like knows 432 is going to try to strong arm him, and he tries to act like he's not going to get strong arm, but like he's crying because he's going to pick Umbrella, not because like the situation.
Well, he's going to pick Umbrella, and all those people are going to be pissed at him, and he's not going to be able to cut out the Umbrella, and like it's all. But
it's all within his control to not pick Umbrella. Like it's a decision that he's making, and he just could have had such a cool moment if he because again, there's a significant chance 432 is going to switch to Umbrella.
Now, are you were saying that because you saw that he proposed to the people in line behind him that he might take it?
And he might not have seen that.
You might
but
not
either
have
way, it doesn't matter. Like there's evidence that shows 432 might have switched to Umbrella, and we get to see 432 in like confessional talk a little bit about how like he thinks he's so awesome and he's like this athletic guy and he's not afraid of any of the competitions except for this was the one that he was worried about. Because it's like not really like in his skill set. Like he's looking forward to like tug of war or fights to the death or whatever he thinks the rest of the show. But this is the one where he thought he would have difficulty with. I feel like a person with that mentality, being like I'm awesome at things, like isn't gonna lose to
Yeah, he's not going to allow himself to be eliminated in this choice.
Like he's going to he would cave at the last second and just think like, well, I'm so good I might just beat Umbrella anyway.
Yeah.
So, I would have the reason I didn't really like Spencer 299 is just that he robbed us of that moment. And there's people in the crowd because he
yeah, so he does this big speech. Okay, so, well, first of all, the context of the original show matters here in that the main protagonist of the show ends up with Umbrella and is struggling to get through it, and at some point figures out that if he licks the back of it, it's going to help dissolve some of the sugar and it's going to make it easier to pop it out, right? So everybody knows you lick this fucking cookie thing, right?
Or spit
so
in
he
it.
Or yeah. So Spencer comes out with this big speech and he's like, just listen to me, bros. Like, I'm here to help people. If I finish my cookie, I'm willing to help somebody else if they'll allow me. So I'll pick this freaking umbrella if you promise me. And then he turns to the camera. He's like, I know you all can see me. And he gets real frustrated. He's like, this sounds so sexual, but like, spit on someone else's cookie, please.
So gross. And then 432 immediately was like, if I finish mine, I'll help you. And then they like shake hands and everybody sees it on the screen. And like, there's literally people in there like, why are you making a deal with the villain of the TV show? Like,
is that Jada? Like, I feel like if anyone is in tune,
it's like
with this
Jada or
situation,
Jada's friends or something.
Yeah.
It's like, he's literally the villain of the show. Why are you shaking his hands?
Yeah, just yelling like, are you serious? It is an amazing moment.
432 is not an edit. It's like, everybody in the show is calling him the villain, and it's like day 2 of the the recording of the show.
Morning, day 2 in the morning.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, and then so he agrees. He shakes hands with 432, takes Umbrella. Time expires. Them putting their hands on the wall, like was coming to an end decision. And then the announcer woman just announces like there will be no helping each other in this challenge.
And like Spencer was already crying again, but he is now almost vomiting. Like he keeps like making this noise. Like this is how nervous this poor guy is. It is rough out here for him.
Yeah, it's a bad look. Like I wouldn't like if it's me in the moment, I'd be like, man, I'm gonna look like such a fucking idiot on TV. Like that would be bothering me more than like oh, I screwed over I think I did the math. It's like 47 people or whatever. 46 other people that were in the same line as him. But you just look like such a fool, especially since it was like he was doing it in the room with 432. So yeah, I kind of wanted Spencer to get eliminated after this, I'll be honest.
I found him compelling to watch.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. Well, he's not going to make it through Umbrella, and
almost
nobody is.
Yeah.
In the show, were they allowed to help each other? Is that why he thought that was a thing?
I don't know that anybody did, other than like people saw the main guy licking things and then went, oh yeah, I'll do that too.
But they didn't spit in each other's thing, right?
They didn't spit in each other's things.
Oh, okay.
Basically, like as soon as they got their thing out, they, showed it to a guard and then left, so, but they were all, what is important to note is that everybody, all the shapes were all together in the same room at the same time. Whereas in this one, it goes, by shape, they get that group in, they do it, then they bring the next one, etc. And there was a lot more like, I don't know, playground equipment to hide under if you were going to help someone secretly or what, you know what I mean? Like,
okay.
There were more places to hide. Okay, and so do whatever,
this actually like his own idea was that they'd be able to help each other. It wasn't actually, because it would be a little dirty if like, oh, they're like helping each other was a big thing in the show. And then they like got rid of that.
Yeah. No, they did not. They did not explicitly say in the show you can't help anybody.
Like this is very much a sanitation, like germ spreading issue, spitting on each other's cookies.
In a post-COVID world, are you gonna let 200 people spit in each other's cookies? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's so gross. So the selection of the shapes, amazing TV, amazing.
Oh, yeah. Excellent way to get around this.
The actual game of getting the cookies out. Probably the worst part of the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, not super compelling to watch. They did kind of get through it kind of quickly. It didn't take too long.
I originally watched these first 2 episodes and I rewatched them to take notes, and I straight up skipped this. Like I actually found it kind of nasty. Like
oh yeah, that is fair.
It's not that it was just boring. It was just like actually kind of gross to see people lick and spit on these.
Yeah,
these
yeah.
candies.
When everybody like sits down, immediately they all start licking, and like the sound is.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
You can hear it's gross. I don't enjoy it. people spit a surprising amount in those tins. It is
It's
not
gross.
a fun thing to
It's
watch.
gross. All right, let's move
But
past this. This is gross.
they have 10 minutes to do this thing. Not a lot of Umbrella people make it through.
Yeah, I get that this is like an homage to the original show, but Squid Game season 2. I don't need to do this again. I'm good. I think you take the victory on making. They turn this boring to watch, disgusting thing into an epic thing, like selection moment, and they did a really, really good job with that. I think they just take the win and they move on from this game going forward.
Well,
it's gross.
The actual Squid Game show is getting a season 2, and I have to imagine that those games will be different. So they will probably have something different to pull from.
Let's hope so. Okay. All right. So where? Yeah, I have players of note that get eliminated.
Yeah.
Eliminated or pass. Ready? So 432 passes. I believe he had triangle.
Yep.
Lorenzo passes. Trey. Lorenzo 161. Trey 301 and Leanne 302 pass. The son and mother both pass.
I love it. There is a little confessional from Trey at this point where he's like, I am discovering that I like spending time with my mom.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
Okay. Jada 097 passes. Steven 243 passes. We haven't talked about Steven that much, but I think we will in a little bit.
He's the mullet guy, the original mullet guy.
Rick 232 passes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Rick when we talk about Steven as well. Rick's a little interesting. Kyle 101 and Danny 134, the people who eliminated Mothie 200, they both fail the cookie.
Yes.
I believe neither of them had Umbrella, right? They just failed.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, I think had he had Umbrella. Kyle had Umbrella and
yeah. Spencer also,
and then Danny
had
Star. Yeah, it is a dramatic
I believe.
moment.
Is this right? I think only 2 people passed Umbrella.
I think that's all they show us.
Yeah. So that means they had 196 going because Mothie got eliminated. They had 196 going into Belgana, and then they lost 8 to the decision, so they had 188 remaining. So that means 47 people did each shape. So that means that for Umbrella, 45 people got eliminated, right?
Oof. Yeah.
So if that is like about right, that basically means you had like a 4 to 5% chance of passing Umbrella. I take those odds. I take those odds in 432 switching to Umbrella. I'll take it. There's got to be a better 5% chance that 432 is switching to Umbrella.
All right.
I'll take it. So I'd probably be eliminated. I think odds are on 432 won't switch, but it's better than taking Umbrella.
Yeah, at the end of this game, we are down to 119 players.
119. They say 69 were eliminated, but I think that doesn't include the failed unanimous people.
Yeah,
so 77 total if you count the whole thing as one game.
And the prize pool is now at 3.37 million.
3.37 million. Oh yeah. All right. And then we get a little bit of socializing here before our next dormitory test. This is when we've gotten, edit-wise, we've gotten a lot of different confessionals from Steven 243. And like we haven't really talked about them because again, like they're not that significant to the show. Which from an edit perspective is very good sign for Steven 243.
Yeah.
So he's with a group of dudes, not the bros.
There's like because Kyle was in there with the mullet. Like it's like guys, I want to say like guys who look a little redneck is really what his initial crew kind of looks like. That's a little bit.
In the very beginning, like he gets the connection with Kyle because they both have mullets.
Yeah. There's also like a guy with this huge, giant, like really long beard. They've got kind of a vibe. But I think like this game eliminated a number of those guys. So now he's like shoring up an alliance with more than people with similar hairstyles.
Oh, okay. Like geographically, I don't know where all these people were from. Like Kyle was from Kentucky. They all seem maybe like they're Southern. I'm not sure though. But ultimately, Steven 243 is going to make it an alliance with 5 other guys, which includes Rick, the old guy.
Yeah.
They're going to be called.
Rick was just there at the time.
Yeah, but I think that was almost it for all the people here. Honestly.
That's fair. Yeah.
But they're going to be called the Gangbu Gang. They actually come up with an alliance name,
So this is from the original show.
Is it? The Gongbu Gang is from the original show?
Gongbu Gang is not. The word Gongbu is sort of like an old-timey, maybe it's not. I got the impression it's an older phrase. It's sort of like a really close friend who you would like really trust with stuff. It comes up in the marble game later, just between two guys, where they're like, yeah, we're Gongbu now, but that game requires them to betray each other. So I feel like it's not a great thing to name your alliance after.
Well, Rick just says Gongbu means best friend in Korean, or best friends or something, which is like
sort of
close enough. Close enough.
Yeah. Which they aren't, and also just the context of the show, it just seems like an ill omen to name
it's just an alliance
group
name.
after that.
So like, alliance names aren't so much a thing on Survivor, but for people that watch Big Brother, like alliance names are like a big deal.
Oh, really?
And I feel like they started becoming a thing in like once like social media was picking up, because you would like, hashtag whatever your team name is. But the meta on Big Brother these days is like almost every single alliance you make, you have to come up with an alliance name, or like people won't take the alliance seriously. Like that's how
really?
That's how like crazy the meta is. Like because like people, like some people think it's cool to make an alliance name. So then if you like try to make an alliance with you, but you don't bring up the fact that you want to make a name, it makes you feel like it's not a serious alliance because you didn't want to come up with a name for it.
Yeah. Okay.
When in reality, it's like, maybe it's better we don't have a name for our alliance. That's in case like somebody hears the, like sometimes people hear a name of an alliance and they don't know who's in it, but now they know like that something else
that
is
it's a thing. Yeah.
But like if you didn't have a name for your alliance, maybe it would be more secret, but then people don't. Like there's somebody as a reality TV show social player like I really respect, who was on the last season of Big Brother, and she was like not really in on the alliance names, but then realized like, oh, people like aren't going to take me seriously if I don't act like I care about these names. Like so if you're ever on this show and somebody wants to do an alliance name, I just be like, yeah, let's do it, because the person who's bringing it up probably thinks it's a big deal.
Fair. Okay.
So yeah, it ends up being, it's Steven 243 and Rick 232 and 4 other guys. And I actually say, like, just aesthetically looking at these guys, it's like a pretty diverse group of guys. Now there are no women in the alliance.
Yeah.
A couple of black guys, a guy with a mullet, an old guy, and then that one guy looked like he was Indian or something. So
yeah, it feels like initially everybody sort of grouped up based on, you look kind of like me, and then those groups got decimated by this cookie game, and they're like, okay, you're around me, let's just group up.
Now I have to imagine like there's other alliances going on the show, but you can't show everything. And Stephen 243 may or may not be the betting favorite right now to win the show.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're gonna see his alliance name, but compared to like when Leanne just looked over at 432 and saw him with a bunch of dudes and was like, oh, there's the Bros Alliance. Like this group of guys, now it's all guys, but like don't stand out nearly as much. Like again, I don't think I'd be at the point in the game where I was like, I want to get a group of people together and name an alliance. Like I wouldn't be doing that, but if you're gonna do it, I guess this is the best way to do it, where it's not an obvious group of people necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
But they only show 6 people. It could be more than 6 people, but they will only see the 6. And then we get to see Leanne's social strategy a little bit.
She is like legit here to make friends.
I don't know about that. I think she just knows.
In her confessional, she's like, I just want to get out here and, hang out with some people. And like, she's here for an adventure, but also like enjoys getting to know people. It is the antithesis of that stereotypical reality show confessional where they're like, I'm not here to make friends, I'm just about winning. But she's like, I'm just here for a good time, even though I think she is doing a good job at what she should be doing to win.
Yeah, but I give her more credit though. Like I think she knows that this is what she should be doing to give herself a chance to win, and it's like that. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like she knows this is good for her game, not just like this is what she would naturally do.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's probably a mix of both. But Leanne is actually gonna go befriend 432.
This, like, as much as I hate him on the show, I love this. This is great.
From Leanne's perspective, it's so good.
Absolutely.
Because she approaches him when he's alone. And that's what I'm like, look for people that are alone and by themselves, and those are the people you go talk to.
And she even talks about, like, to him how everybody, like, has this idea of him.
Yeah, she doesn't bullshit him.
But she's also, like, extremely using that to her advantage. She's, like, tapping into a thing that he might be frustrated about right now, you know? Like, his perception amongst the whole thing, even though I'm pretty sure she also just thinks he's a massive asshole.
That's exactly. Like, there's no way. Maybe Leanne has some family members who are like 432, and maybe she has a little more sympathy.
I mean, literally yesterday she was like, I'm gonna gun him down the street.
She literally was gonna eliminate him. Like, there's no way she cares that much about 432, but she's gonna act like she does.
This is a great strategic move.
It's such a good move. I
absolutely adore her.
Because
she's great.
I think if she's willing to put in this effort right now, like, she has realized that she would not eliminate 432 given the opportunity. Because if you were going to, why would you go through with this, right? Yeah. Now, the other angle going on during this social time is that people expect the next game to be tug of war, and part of Leanne's motivation is that 432 is a strong person, absolutely, who she is thinking, well, hope maybe he'll be I can get him to be on my team for tug of war, and then he can help me survive tug of war. So that's the other reason that Leanne might be doing this right now.
And we had previously seen her sort of amongst a group of women. And so, like, if that's who she's been mostly socializing with, it makes complete sense for her to start seeking out some beefier dudes for a tug of war game.
Yeah. And other people have the same idea. But yeah, great move. I don't think this is a move that I could pull off. Like, she's like the old lady of the season. Like, like, as bad as 432 is, like, I don't think he's gonna, like, be mean to an old lady.
And we do get, like, some confessional from him where he's talking about how his mom is his best friend. So he's, like, primed to be, like, sweeter to an old lady. You know what I mean? And
his whole story is, like, he was, like, adopted or something. So I think he actually has, like, a white mom or something. Was that?
I think he's just he's biracial and just.
Oh, okay.
Like, his mom couldn't understand his blackness, and that made things difficult for him.
Okay, that's what that was from. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So I don't think I could pull off the befriending 432, but Leanne is doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we see them talk, and, like, we don't see it come to fruition with anything yet, but I
what's the
I
story?
hope it does.
What's the angle of this story? Like, so Leanne, and we can talk about more, like, predictions at the end, but, like, it's hard to believe that Leanne's gonna win this show, right? Like, I don't know what's in the future of the show, but I imagine I would not expect the old lady on the season to be the winner of the show. Yeah. But if she's this big of a character, now I think she's great, but is she doing anything so special that, like, she specifically needs to be highlighted for it? I'm not sure, but is Leanne gonna be 432's downfall? Is that the angle here? Is that the story that this is setting up for? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm so curious. No, maybe Leanne wins the show. I could be wrong.
I don't know that she's gonna win, but I think she's gonna make it pretty deep in.
Oh yeah, I think she's gonna make deep enough to potentially eliminate the biggest villain of the show. So yeah, she's got to make it far. Okay. Any other social things you want to mention before we get to the next dormitory test?
No, but I think that, like, I don't think Leanne's gonna, like, eliminate her son, but, like, I would not be surprised.
Oh, you think she's gonna eliminate her son? Now that'd be amazing.
Maybe not like in a secret test where she had to pick, you know, and she'd pick him, but, like, in a game might end up eliminating him and not feeling the worst about it because, like, she knows how to play this game, it seems like. I don't know.
Well, I was thinking that one of them might, like, fall on their sword for the other. Like, that could be a thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to think of them as a sweet thing, but I just think she's such a baller at this point.
Like, if they get, let's say this show is exactly like the original, when they get to the one-on-one matchups, they could actually decide. They could actually decide, like, hey, we know whoever we choose is going to go against each other, and then they could, like, choose to go against each other so to guarantee that one of them makes it, you know? You could do that.
I guess that's true. I think Leanne's better than that.
Do you think Trey would take the fall for Leanne, or Leanne would take the fall for Trey?
I feel like she would take the fall for him because she's his mom and she's going to be nice, and I guess.
Yeah, but Trey's realizing how much he likes his mom.
He likes spending time with her. If one of them's eliminated, they're no longer spending time.
It is, like, an interesting, like, I mean, you could definitely argue it both ways. Like, like, strategically, you'd think, like, a Leanne taking it for her son your son maybe is better equipped at whatever the challenges are later in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But also, it's like, I don't know, some awesome thing that the son can do for his mom. So
That's
I don't
true.
know. It could go either way.
Like I said, I'm more invested in her than I am in him, so I hope she makes it further.
All right, let's get to the next dormitory test. Again, incredible. This is incredible. The dormitory tests that's like the thing I want to see the most of this show, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. This thing was crazy.
So the red shirts come back in, or one of them does, and he's just carrying like this like podium with a rotary phone on it, like
Yep.
like an old timey phone, and he just puts it on the stand and then just walks away.
Yep.
And now there's just a rotary phone in the dormitory.
With a whole bunch of people just circled around it, staring at it, going, "What the fuck? What the fuck?"
I did note down that Steven gets a good edit moment again here, Steven 243, where he's like the first person to articulate the try to be invisible strategy, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no way he's the only one doing this strategy. It's just like the show decided to give him credit for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he's like, he wants nothing to do with the phone. He's not even going near it. Like, he doesn't want to, he's not messing with any of these dormitory tests. He's not trying to stand out. So he's got the right idea, and he's managed to put together an alliance also, from what we've seen. So yeah, but like a bunch of people are just hovering around the phone, and they're like, should I pick it up? Should I pick it up? Oh my God. And then somebody just like says, screw it, picks up the phone, but then like nothing happens. There's nothing on the line.
Yeah.
I cannot believe somebody picked up that phone. That's insane.
Oh yeah, yeah. These people are out here not cautious at all.
These people might just
ready to lose.
The people that are picking the phone might just want to go home. I'm gonna be honest. That actually might be the scenario. But eventually, after people chill out a little bit, the phone does ring,
and there are a lot less people hovering around it.
Yeah, but Hussein 198, who is the guy that called 432 frat boy, has purposely been hovering around the phone.
Yes,
the whole time. And pretty quickly goes over and picks up the phone immediately after it starts ringing.
Yeah.
Now, again, would he be doing this if he was not physically threatened by another participant in the game?
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He specifically... Now, 432, even if he didn't physically threaten him, like 432 is still an asshole. So maybe he would do it anyway.
Yeah.
But he's specifically telling us in confessional, like, I'm picking up this phone because I want to eliminate 432.
Not only that, when he does pick up the phone and like the voice starts talking to him, but then takes a break, he's like, they don't tell him what he gets yet, and he's like, "Can I eliminate a player? I want to eliminate 432."
Yeah,
like there is a crowd of people around him at this point. He says it out loud. He gives zero fucks. This is his goal.
Yeah, I like how they do this too. Like the person on the phone is like, "Do not hang up this phone until you are instructed to."
Yes.
I guess he's just eliminated if he hangs up the phone, right?
Probably,
yeah. But he doesn't. He stays on the line. And it's just like, you have won a treat by picking up the phone. And then some red shirt guy comes in with like a tray, like a lunch tray of burgers and French fries.
Yeah, it's 2 burgers and a bunch of fries. And everyone around him immediately swarms him. Somebody takes a whole ass burger off this tray.
Not
everyone
somebody,
else.
Sarah. We have to talk about this. It's not a random person.
Who is it?
It's Jada097.
Is it Jada? Oh, I missed that.
Which is so hilarious because she was the one commentating and theoretically upset about Lorenzo stealing food.
Yep, that's
like,
fantastic.
But not actually stealing food from anybody, just stealing food for production. And now somebody gets a burger. She literally takes one of the 2 entire burgers and is so proud of herself and happy about like it's like she acts like it's the greatest moment of her life.
Yep.
And maybe this is Jada097's entire story in the show.
Be mad about someone stealing food, then steal food.
It is so hypocritical what she does.
Yeah,
like she
absolutely.
literally steals somebody's food.
Yep.
In like the most egregious way. And then there are other people that I guess are not her friends are like commenting on the fact that she was stealing the food, which is also great. The side commentary on the food stealing is a great part of the show.
So basically, he loses 1 burger, all of his fries. He gets away with a burger, basically, because people just swarm him. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he kind of like lets people take it because, again, like that wasn't really his goal of picking up the phone. Like he is still like
he doesn't care about.
He's
the food
still
that
like
much,
thinking like I just want to get rid of 432. But eventually he grabs a burger and be like, "Oh wait, this is supposed to be mine, guys. Like,
Yeah.
can I at least have this burger?" Yeah, that was so savage.
But then the phone doesn't go away.
Yeah, the phone doesn't go away; it just stays there. Because this is all just a bait for the next phone call.
Yep. And he continues to hover in around the phone.
Yeah,
more or less.
Because Hussein 198 still wants to eliminate 432.
He is very disappointed in his treat.
So the phone rings again, and he answers immediately again.
Yep.
And he's instructed, do not hang up this phone until you are instructed to do so. And then they're like, you are now in danger of being eliminated. And then I don't know how far they get in this explanation before the end of episode 2, but it's like an incredible...
They do the entire explanation.
They do? Okay, yeah. So he's...
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I wrote it down. So it's like, player 198, as a result of answering this call, you are now at risk of being eliminated. You must convince another player to pick up this call. When another player picks up this call, they will be at risk for elimination. The time limit is 2 minutes. If you fail to convince another player to take the phone, you will be eliminated. Do you understand?
Do you understand? Yeah. And he I believe it's a woman's voice, at least that we're hitting for production, and he keeps saying like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Which I thought was weird too.
And that's the end of the episode, but you watched a little bit in to see how this phone
so you haven't watched
out.
this?
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. We don't have to finish it, but I assume this is like a forever process that would keep going until somebody was not able to convince somebody else, which is like an amazing thought.
Well, I do say this from like the perspective of the end of this episode, everyone is like fearful of the phone now.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Do not look like he is going to be successful at handing this off.
Yeah, it's only like 5 minutes in the next episode. It was a great cliffhanger that made me have to start the next episode. Can I just tell you what happens?
Yeah,
it's not really much of a spoiler. This is Husnein's strategy. He decides, because they got food last time and he saw everybody else getting crazy about the food, that he's going to go back to the food well here.
Oh.
And he decides to go with, he like puts down the phone. He's like, hey, there's chocolate muffin for anybody that picks up the phone. And like nobody moves. Like nobody. And then he like, I guess it was like somebody he might have been friends with or at least talked to about food. He like walks all the way to the other side of the warehouse of the dormitory and is like, hey, chocolate muffin if you want it. And then the guy's like, I'll take it as long as I won't get eliminated. And he's like, yeah, go for it. And there actually are like a couple people who like get right up next to the phone, but then the entire cast of people just starts yelling at them like, no, don't pick up the phone. Don't do it. Like some people get really close to picking up the phone for a chocolate muffin. It's really funny actually. And then basically they get peer pressured into not picking up the phone, like the 2 or 3 people that actually almost do it. And then nobody picks up the phone. And then they announce like, would player 198 please pick up the phone? And then they're like, you have failed the test, you have been eliminated. And now what was crazy to me is like they didn't set off his ink grenade on his chest. They like had some like they had like 2 dudes like come in, 2 of the white shirts come in and just like escort him out. I'm thinking maybe they don't wear their ink things in the dormitory. Yeah, because he didn't. Wait.
When Mothi got eliminated,
he wasn't shot either. I don't think. I think it was like, I think he got escorted.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah, so they don't make him like sleep with these ink things that might just
makes
burst.
sense.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets eliminated though. Sarah, what would your strategy be if you were dumb enough to pick up this phone call?
Not the food thing, because like if he came over and was like, you want this food, I'd be like, okay, get the food and then you can give it to me. I'm not touching the phone.
Yeah, he should have said something
that's the weak sauce.
He should have said something like, oh, I'm not allowed to win again because I won the first one. That's what they said. Like he could have come up with some excuse that was better.
I would have been like, I need somebody to like be in an alliance with me or something, like to get this next thing. Like I need somebody to make this decision with me. Like,
so you're like specifically screwing over somebody you've been close with?
Maybe not. Yeah, that's a bad move. I don't enjoy that.
It's really, I think that's what he tried to do. I think he tried to screw over somebody he was close with. Yeah, it's really hard to come up with a good plan in the moment. I think, honestly, what I might have done was just tell the truth.
Okay.
and just hoped they thought I was bullshitting them, and then somebody picks up the phone. Like if you get a weird call, like you pick up the phone and then you like act hella suspicious and you put the phone down and you're just like, so if nobody picks up the phone in the next 2 minutes, I get eliminated.
Nobody's gonna pick up the phone.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think anybody. Oh, you mean like because you're implying that they're not gonna have any consequences for picking up the phone?
Like, it looks suspicious because it looks like if somebody did that, I would think like, oh, if nobody picks up that phone, like they're gonna get to eliminate somebody. Like that's what I would think. Like I would think like he's lying. I would think he's lying, and he must be getting an advantage or something if nobody picks up the phone. But now I personally would still not pick up the phone because again, you're still at the stage of the game where you want to be invisible.
But maybe it would stop everybody from shouting people down who might pick it up.
I would not feel as though I was gonna. Again, in the moment, it's gonna be really hard to think to play it that way. Like would I have come up with that strategy in the moment? Maybe not. But I think that actually is the best move. Just be like,
make it look like you're
make it look like you're lying,
yeah.
but you're actually telling the truth, kind of thing. Yeah,
okay, that's solid.
Again, so hard. Like it would have been as good as this was. It would have been more fun if like because now if you're the second person to pick up the phone. And now they tell you try to get somebody else to pick up the phone. Now Hussein 198 could just be like straight up like, guys, if you pick up the phone, you're gonna get eliminated. Like I was bullshit.
Yeah.
But again, somebody still might not believe you and pick up the phone. But when the second
at
person,
that point, you are safe. So whatever.
When the second person is trying to get somebody to pick up the phone, that's hella suspicious.
Yeah, fair.
But it doesn't even make it that far. 2 minutes is rough. I think it would have been more fun if it was more than 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because I feel like with 2 minutes, it doesn't give people enough time to think about it.
Yeah.
Like it's a little too much pressure to decide. But if you get like a solid 10 minutes for somebody to sit there and be like, man, I'm hungry. Also, like if I get eliminated, I kind of want to go home anyway. like, there's definitely some people out there like that. Like I feel like you give them 10 minutes, maybe you give somebody, but 2 minutes is like a little too fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, 198. Who's 198 eliminated, and honestly might have been eliminated because 432 threatened him. It's definitely a factor. That's fucked up.
That's a fair way to read that.
It's fucked up. Again, fits well within the context of the original Squid Game, but should not fly. Yeah. Should not fly on this TV show, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was the start of episode 3, but the end of the first 2 episodes. Incredible.
Yeah.
So you're gonna keep watching the show, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep watching it.
Yeah, I definitely watch it.
I'm probably gonna watch it right now. Is,
when we're done recording, I'm gonna watch it.
I might too.
Yeah. Yeah. Third episode is called War, but it's gonna be warships, aka battleships, instead of tug of war.
Interesting.
So there seems like there's got to be curveballs again because like people know, like you said, people know the show, so it can't be exactly the same.
Also, you said there's 10 episodes and there are only like 6 games.
Do you want to look at that? I have all the names of the episodes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you the games in the show. Okay, so it starts red light, green light, cookie time, tug of war. What's after tug of war? I think after tug of war is marbles. Everybody gets that's where they have to pair up and they get a pouch of marbles and they just have to decide their own games to play between the pairs to have a reason why somebody gets
I can't tell what that one is. How about I just give you the names of the 10 episodes? They're just the titles. I don't think these are very spoilery. They're just like it's just like what could this episode be? All right, so 3, it was red light, green light. Mm-hmm. Second episode was actually called The Man with the Umbrella. That's actually a pretty good name.
I think that might be the name of the episode.
Oh, really? Okay.
Episode
3 is War. Episode 4 is Nowhere to Hide.
Okay, well that doesn't sound like marbles.
Hide and seek or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is Trick or Treat.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be different. Episode 6 is Goodbye.
Okay.
Hopefully that's 432. Episode 7 is Friend or Foe. So that sounds
okay.
Episode 8 is One Step Closer.
Okay, there's a hopscotch style bridge of death game that could line up with, but I don't know how they'd pull that off in real life without murdering people. Honestly, it's weird.
Episode 9 is Circle of Trust. Could that be the marble game? Maybe isn't that in a circle?
I guess maybe.
All right. And episode 10, the finale is called One Lucky Day. So
All right.
that could mean anything. It's just like the person who wins. It could mean nothing. In terms of what this episode's about.
But I did think in either the trailer or the intro of the very first episode, I thought they showed something that looked like the bridge game.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do that.
That was I don't know how they're gonna do that.
You just fall, but you don't land on anything. What do you mean?
Well, it's just like the point is there are like two panels of glass. One of them is tempered and safe to stand on, and the other one cracks. And I don't know, maybe you just have like a little trap door that people drop through. I think
it's just some of the panels, like you step on them and they fall through or something.
Well, yeah. It's just like the logistics of how they decide to have people fall through bridge holes. I don't know.
You're wearing harnesses, or you just don't fall. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a curious thing, you know. Okay. I just don't know how they, depending on how many people they have left, like, and whatnot. So
okay, we'll see. Yeah, I'm so in on the show. It's super interesting. Despite the 4-3-2 scenario, like I do think like the editing side of the production of the show is like very well done, and like the lengths that they went to like make it like the original show, it sounds like they really went all out, which is kind of intense.
I wonder how the new games will feel, like if they feel like they fit in quite as well.
Like were the games in the original show actually good, or it was just like intense because it was like you die?
Mostly it's just intense.
Yeah,
because
there are better games that they can come up with than the show, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really like, as somebody that didn't watch the show, I don't care if they don't stick to the show. It's like
well, I mean, just like thematically, if they feel like they would exist appropriately in the, like it just because they don't have a set ready for it. Just I'm curious about what that looks like, you know.
Okay. And so far in the first 2 episodes, like great episode cliffhangers. At least get you to watch the next, like you have to watch the next like 5-10 minutes of the next episode pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, and again, like I don't know, like I feel like I might be more interested in the show because I haven't seen the original. Like I have nothing to go off of other than like talking to you a little bit about it.
Right.
But I really don't know what's coming next. So
yeah, I'm just really curious about how they're going to handle the rest of it, and also I want to watch Leanne dominate.
Leanne, yeah. Who's your winner pick right now?
I mean, I think you make a lot of sense when you talk about Mullet Man, Steven.
Yeah, Steven.
Like the edit he's gotten so far makes sense.
The other one is Jada.
Ooh, okay.
Unless Jada's story is just stealing the burger.
And also like calling out like the villain behavior. Like she's a
yeah. I think Jada's gonna make it further because again, like every time they show her, it's like she's in a group of people, but we've only met Jada.
Yeah.
And like they could have had somebody stealing the burger and just highlighted it without us really knowing who that person was, and it still would have been funny.
Yeah.
So I think Jada makes it further. But the fact that like we've really only seen Steven talk about an alliance that has like a name, and like they're really saying like, oh, we're in an alliance,
and his be invisible strat too. Like
maybe that's the alliance that has like the biggest storyline later in the show, and that's why they showed us this alliance.
But like other than Rick, I don't know that we know.
Yeah, Rick is interesting too. Like, why do we know Rick other than he's
the oldest guy?
I guess so.
And
he had a birthday on the second day of the show. It was his 69th birthday.
I feel he does good facial reactions. Like his face when Leanne and Trey were hugging at the end of that first one was pretty, like, he was just confused, and it was a good face to highlight, you know?
Yeah.
So he might be useful in that sort of way.
Rick is another character that doesn't seem like he's all there mentally. Kind of like, I wonder if Rick was another, like, this person is going to choose Umbrella person.
Okay.
I don't know. There had to be a handful of people that they casted just to pick Umbrella, because like you can't rely
on one of them being at the front of the line. Yeah.
It's so known that you don't want Umbrella that you really have to find somebody that's, whether they do it for emotional reasons or they're susceptible to being strong-armed or whatever it is. Like you kind of have to cast people that are going to pick Umbrella.
But like not just that, somebody who would pick Umbrella and also be kind of close to the front of the line.
You just cast like, say, like, I don't know. I guess
if you cast enough of them,
it'd be hard to cast like 100 people that would pick Umbrella, honestly. But
yeah,
mathematically you probably should. And then because they want it to be. I think the show at least expects the first people not to agree because they don't know that they're going to get eliminated by not agreeing. They should be able to suspect that, but
oh yeah, 100%. They should have known that.
in terms of when you're making the choice of like, do I get eliminated or take Umbrella? When you don't actually know for sure that you're going to get eliminated, you're not picking Umbrella. Yeah. They probably for sure knew they would eliminate the first 4, and then after that, they still have to think it's not a slam dunk. The second group is going to agree either, and then they have to. I just think they have to have casted people that they thought would take Umbrella, and 432 might have been one of those people, and we didn't get to find out. But yeah, if I had to bet on who's going to win, I would say Steven 243.
Yeah, the edit makes sense for that.
I don't know how physical these competitions are going forward, but he's like, he seems physical enough if there is a physical aspect. He's got all the ingredients of somebody, like he's at the his edit has the social ingredient, the strategy ingredient in terms of giving him credit for doing the invisible strat. Even though like there are people that are more invisible than Steven 243, but he got shown with articulating it.
Yeah.
And it's also it's totally possible that like the show hasn't even highlighted who the winner of the show season's going to be.
Yeah, that's like
true. that honestly like I would actually kind of enjoy that edit of this show because there's so many people. Like in Survivor, like I know there might have been like one season that I know of where like the winner of the show didn't have a confessional in episode 1. But there's only 18 people on that show, so like a lot, like over half the cast gets a confessional in episode 1. So yeah, chances are somebody we've seen is going to be the winner of the show, I would say.
My dream scenario is that Leanne charms 432 and they get through, and in the end she eliminates him and wins.
Oh my god. I
know it's not going to happen, but that's my dream scenario.
That's just like glory for the show if they like literally like the agreed villain within the filming of the show goes to the end and then loses. Like that'd be incredible.
It would be so good.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Leanne, but in terms of picking her as a winner, it's hard to.
Yeah, she is likely not.
She's my favorite.
The final winner.
Yeah. Definitely my favorite character. And I'm curious to see where her and her son. I hope like one of them doesn't get like randomly eliminated. I hope it's like a thing that
a moment.
Because Steven 243 also had his best friend on the show, but he gets eliminated in the first game. Do you think like more than just the son and mother and Steven and his best friend had a pair, but these are just like the only ones we're seeing?
Yeah.
Okay. It has.
Yeah, I think right? Well, like Danny, the girl who voted Mothi out.
Yeah.
She came in with her friend.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yeah. Because I read that article so I think there's probably a decent amount of like at least friend pairs.
It could be like half the cast is pairs, honestly. Something like that. But we're just only getting the 2. Which again, I think that's good casting. Like you want they want like people coming into the game with each other to be a storyline. But they can't
so
guarantee
you have to,
that they're all going to stay in the game, so they put in a bunch of them and then, Trey and his mom survive, and then they become the story.
Exactly.
For that, yeah. And then Steven, we find out that his friend was in the game. Again, this like Steven's getting all the good edit. Like we find out his friend was in the game, but he survived, and now he's like, he's out. He's like the rest of the show. The rest of the show is like in dedication to his buddy.
Yeah.
Died in the first game, but like half the people that are still in the game also had a buddy that died in the first game. But Steven's the only one that we know about. So even if Steven wins the show, like I think it'll just be a fun ride either way. Even if it was like obvious from the beginning who was going to win. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
great stuff. I'm glad that this exists.
Yeah,
honestly, like the concept of Squid Game is what made like this. It's not really dystopian, right? Because it's like. It's not like futuristic alternate.
Oh no,
universe.
it is.
It's just like
it's
just like
times.
some rich assholes could be doing this right now.
Yeah.
But like it has like kind of like this. Like I like movies like Maze Runner, like those kind of movies where like okay, people are in a like trapped in a thing and it's kind of like a puzzle to get out kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's actually like can I tell you about an anime?
Sure.
There's an anime called Blue Lock, which is like so much like this show.
Really?
Except it's all about soccer. We're like
soccer?
Yeah, soccer. It's so like listen to this. Tell me what's more ridiculous, this plot of this anime or Squid Game. So in this anime, like the Japan government or something has like decided they really want to invest money into trying to win the World Cup
Okay.
in soccer.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this like mad scientist like research soccer person who like has decided or discovered that the reason Japan can't win the World Cup is because like they like Japan's really good fundamentally and they do okay, but they never win because they don't have like that one player on their team who's just like really selfish and will just like do whatever it takes to like score a goal, basically.
Okay.
Like they call them like strikers or number nines or whatever. Like all the and they like he says like all the best players in the world that carry their teams to victory have like this one player that like doesn't pass the ball and just is so good that he'll do whatever it takes to like score a goal by himself.
We need a selfish
Yeah.
asshole. Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
they basically take all the like 20 and under like prospecting soccer players in
Uh-huh.
Japan and put them in this like Squid Game type like warehouse with a bunch of rooms and stuff, and they like make them do these like activities that like make them more selfish.
Are they all soccer-based activities?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They're all
Could they not
soccer-based
just
activities, but it's
like the premise is that like the culture of Japan has not created soccer assholes, right? Could they
yeah.
not just like order one in like other
No,
teams?
not for the national
Get
team. You got to be from.
Oh, really? It has to.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
they could get like dual citizenship or something. Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah, but no, that won't fit for the but it really is like Squid Game style. Like
Did they murder the soccer
no,
children?
they
who
don't
aren't
murder
assholes
them,
enough?
but
Okay.
they're all like under 20, so they're
Mhm.
but like if they lose in Blue Lock, then they're like never going to be allowed to be on the national team in the future. So like
Oh,
basically their like soccer careers are like over if they
and
don't
they're only
win.
trying to get one soccer
Yeah,
asshole
just
out of
like one.
this.
They just want to get one. They're really putting all their eggs in one basket with this guy.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but it's basically like Squid Game, except with your soccer career instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I like stuff like as dumb as that is, like I enjoy that show. I enjoy that show. So like
Okay.
when I heard what Squid Game was, I was like I'd be interested in this, and then but like 10 minutes into it, it was like somebody was torturing somebody, and like that's
Oh yeah, it's way too
like
gross for you to watch. Yeah.
yeah, like I can watch violence and gore to an extent, but I hate when it's like torturous based. That's when
Yeah.
that makes me want to turn it off. So I didn't make it through the first 10 minutes of the original show. And
There.
I have no plans to watch it especially now that this is out. This is just better. So
Okay.
because in the show, like you're mostly following like one person's story, right?
Yes, but there is also a side story of like a cop who was infiltrated on the guard side and is trying to like find his brother or whatever. So there's
Oh, okay. There's some other stuff going on. Okay,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you don't have Trey and his mom. I don't know. You get
Yeah,
some interesting
yeah.
stories here.
There is a married couple in there that things go poorly for, but you don't really see them until
Okay.
but there is a 4-3-2 character definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when there's actually no rules, there's gonna be a lot of 4-3-2s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, we're anything else from Squid
Uh,
Game: The Challenge?
no, I think that's it. Was a little squeamish about the general concept of making a competition show out of this at first, but
Yeah, so
it's
you're actually like more
enjoyable.
squeamish to watch this than the original show because
Not
it was like
squeamish, but just like, should we be doing this? I don't know.
yeah. So I was
You
actually
know?
talking to my sister about this, and she had like that same kind of opinion where like it's like if we're actually like kind of replicating these TV shows, like at what point
We've
is it
learned
just like
nothing.
is it just like a stepping stone to the actual thing eventually? And my
Mm,
thing is like I think the original show is if you're gonna have that stance, like the original show is more of the problem than the reality show. Because like
I mean,
the original show is like putting it out there, and then the reality show is like, how can we do this but not make it killing people?
well, the original show is trying to say some stuff about how, the current state of the actual world. It is taking it in an extreme sort of example, but it is trying to speak to real things of the world. You've got people being exploited in all sorts of ways. human trafficking, like wage slavery, all those sorts of things exist in the world, and there's rich people profiting off of poor, desperate folks, right? But so in making a show about the show, it's like, let's just disregard all the very like important things we're supposed to learn from the show and just have a good time watching some people play some dumb games and pretend to get shot. And it's like, okay, I get it, but also feels a little bit bad,
I guess. I guess the original show bothers me more than the reality show.
But it's supposed to bother you. It's supposed to make you feel bad.
Yeah,
right?
they are leaning into that, and they want it to feel like the original as much as it can without, of course, being the original.
Oh, I just mean like the original show is supposed to make you feel bad, Like,
it's
supposed to make you think.
I mean, this show is too.
I don't know how bad this show is supposed to make you feel. I don't know.
Oh, I think they're leaning into it. Like, again, like, it's all kind of over the top. Like, nobody's actually dying, of course, but like,
yeah,
the show is trying to give you as much of the same vibe as the original without actually giving it to you. Yeah. We didn't talk about. Do you want to say what's on? Let's say what we're planning to do next time, and then we didn't talk about. I forgot to bring up things that we've been watching at the beginning of the podcast. I have some.
Okay. All
right. So next time, I think by the time we get to another podcast, it's going to be time for Singles Inferno 3.
Oh yeah, I'm so pumped. Let's go.
So we only snuck in like 3 non-Korean dating show podcasts. Actually, no. Well, one of them was a Korean dating show, but
we tried.
In terms of shows, we're not covering the whole season. We only snuck in 3, and then Singles Inferno 3. We're going to cover the entire season,
episode by episode, week to week.
Yeah, regardless of how it gets released, because so what's the date?
Still not sure.
December 12th.
Yes, December 12th.
Tuesday is the release date. On Netflix, it says like an episode is coming December 12th, like singular episode.
Historically, they released 2 episodes at a time, but it does sound like it. At least the first one's maybe just 1.
We don't know.
We don't know the cadence. I'm not sure how many episodes.
On the wiki for the show, it lists season 3, and then it only lists 1 episode on December 12th, but then it doesn't list the rest of the episodes. And of course, the season's going to be more than 1 episode, I assume. Day
1, everyone hooks up and never changes. It's a boring season, guys. Sorry.
It's just one long movie. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're switching to a 1 episode per week format. We're not sure. But we'll see. Whatever it is, we'll try to cover it. Weekly.
Yep.
And until the season's over, and hopefully it's good. I think it's going to be a little different, but we'll make it fun, even if it's not the best. But we'll figure it out. We're doing it. We're committed.
Yep.
Yeah. So next time, Singles Inferno 3, episode 1, or maybe episode 1 and 2. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you've been watching that you want to talk about?
I have been watching a D&D actual play show called Dimension 20.
Oh.
And I've just been watching the latest season the past couple days because I've been off from work and binging that a bit much, and it's just been a fun time. They're all stoats, which are like teeny little weasel type creatures, and it's a weird nuclear dystopian future, and it's a fun time.
Is this like made by the Dungeons and Dragons like company itself?
It is. So do you remember there used to be a website called College Humor? I think so. I think that was it.
I don't know, but I wasn't a big internet person probably at the time.
Well, they have in the past dissolved and become this other company called Dropout, and they produce a bunch of internet shows. And one of them is this show called Dimension 20, where they do kind of like 8-episode seasons of different D&D actual play stuff. And I just purchased the service, so I'm streaming a whole bunch of it right now. Okay, and that's what I'm watching.
Nice,
because I'm a D&D nerd.
Nice. Is D&D nerd a derogatory term that you would get upset about on Squid Game?
No,
somebody
if anybody called me a
D&D nerd,
I'd be like, yes, and
call me a D&D nerd one more time,
and you better be prepared to play. I mean, play D&D because it's fun. Yeah, let's go.
We're not gonna do it right now, but when we get off the show, we're gonna play D&D.
Oh, we're gonna play D&D so hard,
but it's like a threat. You're like threatening me. I'm gonna make you play.
And then I get eliminated from the show because I'm not interesting enough to stay on, so they might as well kick me
They
out.
try to answer the phone because they're scared. They really don't want to play D&D. And then
But really, it's a nice time, guys. I swear. So what have you been watching?
So I think a couple episodes I talked about Money Heist, and I was rewatching that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually forgot that there's like a sequel or a prequel series coming out called Berlin, which is one of the characters from Money Heist. I believe it comes out in December.
Interesting.
Let me.
Which one was Berlin?
Berlin is the one you would not like.
Yeah, the asshole one. Okay.
Now you didn't make it far enough in to know his story. But
tend to not allow excuses for asshole behavior, so I don't care about his story.
I mean, they're all kind of suck at times.
Okay. Yeah.
They're kind of, the Money Heist
he was
is kind
the
of
worst
like
one.
Money Heist is kind of like a Robin Hood like story, but they're not necessarily as clearly good guys as Robin Hood.
Yeah.
December 29th is the sequel to Money Heist. Is anybody checking that out? I assume it's a prequel, so it's going to be like a new set of people, but Berlin will be there, and I assume another heist will be happening, so I'm in.
All right.
But then I when I found out that was coming out, I was like, I'm just going to watch all the Money Heist stuff. I actually started watching there's a Money Heist Korea.
Oh, right. I forgot they made that.
The subtitle of that is Joint Economic Area. I checked out like the first episode, and it's like, okay, the names the country names they use to like hide their identity are like the same, right? But each character is actually like not necessarily like the same personality as the Spanish version. The original.
So is it a remake of the Spanish version, or is it?
No, it's a remake of the Spanish version for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a little bit different. So like, I don't think this is historically accurate at all. So I think it's like a dystopian future, but it's like South Korea and North Korea have like started to come to an agreement to like merge a little bit, and then so they set up this like testing ground in between the two countries called the Joint Economic Area.
Okay.
And the testing ground they have like a new agreed upon like currency between the two countries, and they have a mint in the Joint Economic Area that prints the new money that I guess is valid in both countries. But there's still this whole dynamic of like I think the main character was like fought for North Korea in the army, but she is trying to get out like to South Korea, and then she does get out, but then she gets like taken advantage of by people in South Korea who take advantage of immigrants from North Korea, basically.
Yeah.
And then she gets like roped in for the same reasons that happened in the Spanish version. But it's in terms of the dynamic of the country, it is different than the Spanish version is just like, it's the Spanish mint. They're gonna steal money from the Spanish mint. There's no extra layer of like these two countries.
Political intrigue. Yeah,
exactly. So it is a little different from that standpoint, but there are like straight up scenes that are like almost directly taken from.
Okay.
So I'll probably finish it. It's only like 12 episodes. I will say I don't think it's like, if you haven't watched either, I would go watch the Spanish one. I think it's better.
Yeah.
The plot seems very accelerated if you've watched the Spanish one and then you watch the Korean version. It's like they're not doing as much character building as in the Spanish version. So original Money Heist is still the best, but I'm checking it out. I'm getting hyped for the Berlin show. So just want to let people know if anybody has cared at all about Money Heist whenever I talk about it. There's a prequel series coming.
Cool.
All right. Where can people contact us, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com, tweet at us at keepwatchingpod, Instagram at us at keepwatchingpod, or leave a comment under the video on YouTube also at keepwatchingpod. And if you think you could strong arm us into picking Umbrella, leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
There are so many, like, if you just put yourself in the situation of this person on Squid Game, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, if you answer the phone, if you're dumb enough to answer the phone, and then you have to get somebody else to answer the phone, what's your strategy?
Oh, yeah, what's your strat?
If you're one of the first people to go in, like, if you're the second, third group of 4 people to go into the shape decision room,
what you gonna do?
What's your strategy?
Are you gonna take your mom?
Are you taking your mom on the show? Why not? I do think the show would be like, I do think you have to go into the show being like, okay, it's going to be Survivor-esque. Like, if they give us food, it's probably not going to be great. You know, it's
yeah.
at some point they might stop giving us food, and you know, it's only, I don't know how many days it's going to be. Maybe it's only 8 to 10 days, something like that. Show. So
yeah.
It's within the like. Now people at Survivor know what they're getting into, but you know, like having a low calorie diet for 10 days is definitely within the possibilities
doable, safe-ish
of like
situation.
If you go on a reality TV show, especially a survival game, it's within the possibilities that is going to be an aspect of the game.
Tell us all your sweet opinions about these things.
So good. All right, anything else?
No, I'm just real pumped for Singles Inferno now.
Oh, you are. I'm pumped to go finish watching. I won't finish it tonight, but at least starting the next episode. I'm not starting episode 3.
Oh yeah, that too.
I need to go watch it now. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.